obviously hold it down for you.
Yep, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be awkward if I just started the show and didn't tell anybody?
You did. That's exactly what you did. You demon.
Showtime. Y'all are infidels. We're burning witches tonight. Not even Smokey the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments picked her with a band-aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I got to maintain some level of like, making sure that you're in a good place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appealed to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you.
Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
Y'all are infidels. We're insulting everybody's mothers tonight. It's episode 67 of the Ballroom Podcast. 67? Yeah, I got it right. I don't know why I thought I had it wrong there for a second. But we're here for this Tuesday night, and we're back here at our normally scheduled time. I have my normally scheduled guests joining us in our normally scheduled podcast. So how are you guys doing tonight? Let's start off with Orange Hat Reviews. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing well? That's it? Yeah. That's all you got?
For now, yes.
All right, then. Well, I'll go ahead and bump Cassie up to higher standing for tonight. Cassie, how you doing
Hell
tonight?
yeah. Doing awesome. Just put in like 3 hours into Starfield. It's my current addiction in gaming. It's been a minute since I've had an addiction.
You have a problem.
I do, yes. It's back to those days of Oblivion, man. I played Oblivion for 3 straight years consistently. That was my jam, so it's cool to have that feeling again. But hope everyone in chat is doing well. Hope everyone's doing great tonight.
And back behind her feather pencil thingy over there is C.S. Johnson. How you doing tonight, Gia?
Hi everyone, I'm back.
For now,
I'm
you're
still
back.
sick, but I'm here.
Feel better.
Antibiotics, that's all I gotta say.
I got some. It's like been one of those things where because I got sick one time, I've been sick like 3 for the last 2.5 weeks because of 3 other things. So, yep. I'll be fine for the next 4 years, though, on the other
Well, whenever I'm super sick, I just OD on NyQuil because I don't want to be awake for it. That's usually how I roll.
I had 4 naps yesterday, and it was nice. So
nice.
Well, we're here tonight. We'll have some people trickle in as time goes on. I'm pretty sure Rick will be here later on tonight. TW will probably be here 30 minutes before we end time. That's around the time he shows up. So Till those guys get here, let's introduce our guys in the chat here tonight. Neozoic has joining us. Everyone saying howdy, barroom crew, and all the folks in the chat. Question: which martial arts movie would you rather watch? Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport?
No comparison. Enter the Dragon all day, every fucking day. It is like the palette of martial arts films. Bloodsport is great. I was a Jean-Claude fan, Jean-Claude fangirl when I was a kid, but Bruce Lee is the fucking goat, and you can't deny that cast. Great fucking cast. Jim Kelly,
So that
John
cast made it into
Saxon.
Bloodsport.
That I absolutely adore the cast in Enter Dragon. So nothing you could say can convince me otherwise. Just put it that way.
I would probably have to agree with that too. I can't really disagree too heartily.
I mean, I'm gonna choose Bloodsport. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. Bruce Lee movies are good. I finally saw Enter the Dragon this year.
The thing is, there's China Bruce Lee movies. Then there's Enter the Dragon. They're two totally different.
Yeah,
entities.
it's not just
Enter the
a
Dragon's on
Bruce
whole
Lee
other level.
movie. It's like the Bruce Lee movie.
Yes.
So.
Bloodsport is great. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's a great fucking film in its own right. But Enter the Dragon is the martial arts flick.
Let's just say that I have a better time believing Jean-Claude Van Damme beating Bolo Yeung than John Saxon beating Bolo Yeung.
Fair enough.
CJ, what's your answer? Of course, she's not here. She's probably yelling at her kids like she's always doing. But we'll save her up that question.
To sleep.
Okay, I had to look up both movies, okay? And I was going for dogs, so not my kids. I would probably rather watch Bloodsport. So.
Well, yeah, you're a woman, and it shows Jean-Claude's ass, so.
Oh, okay, then I want the other one. Never mind.
Oh, now all of a sudden you object.
That one shows a lot of nudity, so. The other one shows a lot of women nudity, so.
Okay, never mind. I don't want to watch either.
It is what it is. That's all I gotta say there. And a bonus question for Neo here says, would you rather watch the MCU film series or the X-Men film series, which is soon to be one giant film series, as they're gonna do Secret Wars and mash all these terrible superhero movies up to one little pile of just rotten clay. But this one's pretty tough, but I know what, I'm gonna go with the X-Men series on the sole basis that it's less movies that I would have to watch versus the MCU.
I just got done watching the fucking MCU again and reviewing the MCU Infinity Saga, so yeah, I'm choosing the X-Men movies. I mean, if you're just talking about the trilogy, okay, but if you're talking about the other X-Men movies, not Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, no, nobody wants that Sophie Turner movie. That's where that whole series completely fell apart when they tried to showcase her. Like, how dare you replace Fonkem Jameson with Sophie Turner? It's like, what are you doing?
I mean, it was more than anything like, I can understand why they went after Sophie Turner for it. First off, the fans wanted it, and she looks the part of a young Jean Grey, so I get it on that aspect. But from a writing perspective, from an acting perspective, just it falls apart fairly quickly. I have to go with X-Men. I always will have a soft spot for the original X-Men trilogy, and I ended up seeing X-Men Days of Future Past in theaters 3 times just because they brought back the original cast for one little tiny moment, and it was so worth it to me to see that.
Did you see the
charm?
Did you see the road cut?
Yes, that was interesting. I don't know if I like it more. Or it's kind of one of those things where I like them both. I could watch either or and be happy with it.
The road cut actually explains how the freaking Sentinels found him. So
yeah,
I will say, like, I just got done watching all of them for Ord Chat's thing. So if you want to hear what I thought, just go back to the episodes of his podcast where I'm on. My schedule doesn't conflict, and I'm not sick, and I'm not out of town or anything. And but I think I'll just stick to my original answer. I'd rather watch neither. So
DK, they were too egotistical. They would never go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, each series kind of has its ups and its downs.
No, I'm talking to DK in the chat.
Oh, okay, okay. So
He's like, when we get in the Van Damme Seagal fight, it's like they were way too egotistical.
You could have gotten that in Expendables 2 had Seagal actually agreed to be in the movie, but that's his fault. So
it's because Van Damme was in it that he said no.
Probably make it.
I mean, they wanted
I'm sure with
Seagal
AI
to fight
stuff
Van.
today,
Yeah, he probably could now. Yeah, with AI.
Yeah,
it's probably the only way you're gonna get Seagal to fight in 2023.
I mean, look, man, it must be tough when you're Steven Seagal in modern day and you look like a bag of shit, and then you stand next to
And
Van
there's a
Damme.
fucking YouTuber that has turned you into a parody. Yeah. I mean, Fat Steven Seagal, shout out to you, man. Great shit.
Yeah. Shout out to Putin for us. How about that? Who else we got here? We got Duke Nukem joining us once again. He says, "I'm grown sick and tired of these evil satanic witches. They need to be rounded up and stoned to death." I will say this. This may be the only thing of Islam that I actually agree with. So I'll mark that one off as a win for you for tonight, and then a loss on everything else. But that's the only one.
come on, Jacob. You mean that you don't like when you got a fly in your soup, you don't eat the whole fly because one wing has the cure and one has the poison?
Like I said, it was the only thing that I agree with. Look,
I'm
throwing
asking
stones.
if you don't agree with that too.
Look, throwing stones at women, you're never going to get me to not think that that's a good idea. That's all I'm going to say.
Shirley Jackson's the lottery. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Times were better. Like I said, Neo's joining us. Duke's joining us. We got Drax the Clown joining us tonight. Vanya also saying hello to everyone. Orange Hat's in the chat. We got Doba Fett joining us here. Cassie will be in the chat with you guys. Kate's joining us once again on another show, so shout out to Kate. Duke says he never gets sick, so get wrecked, CJ. How about that?
I curse you to have the sniffles as we watch.
Drax says, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you think that okay, so since I'm a woman, I'd be able to witchify myself and not get sick. So at least I'm sick and not a witch.
I was cursing Nuke Dukem.
You interrupted me for that. That's I thought you had something
No,
never mind.
I always interrupt you, and it's never important.
Drax Clown says something about the voice acting of Oblivion. It's so bad. I wouldn't know because I still have a PS3 by choice and a PS2 by choice too. If I go back and play some
Oblivion.
PS2 best
Oblivion it's so charming how terrible the voice acting is. First off, there's only 3 voice actors in the entire fucking game when there's hundreds of NPCs. It is great. The charm is astounding. It makes the game for me.
Who else do we got here tonight? Rob is stuck at his job right now, but he wants to let you know that he's here. So we'll give Rob his attention and validation that he desires. Tactus Jones going with Bloodsport. I love Bruce Lee, but John Saxon as a martial art artist, not buying that after all these years. To each his own.
That was okay.
Rest in peace, John Saxon.
Yeah, man. Love John Saxon.
DK's here saying that you always wanted to go Kamate and new Frank Dukes. Frank Dukes. I don't know why I'm Dukes. Yeah, I don't know why I'm butchering some of these names here tonight, but it's
turned out Frank Dukes was a fraud.
Just a little bit. Rob's going with Hard Times, 1975. Walter Hill and Bronson, his favorite fighting movie.
Yeah.
So
Actually.
Vanya's going into the Dragon here. Rob says Sudden Death is the best of the Van Damme movies. Enjoy the Stanley Cup cheese. Yeah. Van Damme can definitely take Steven Seagal's fat ass. I mean, definitely now. I mean, maybe even before, too. I tried to go back to the Bryan Singer X-Men movies. I found them pretty cringe, but way better than the MCU. Yeah, like I said, not all of them are hits. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that they're all great. I mean, a few of them hold up pretty well, then a few of them not so much. Who else we got? DK says, I never thought I said, too bad we never got that Van Damme Steven Seagal fight. Like I said, they had their chance. They blew it. Power Boost is also a great villain in Sudden Death. I feel like we watched Sudden Death not too long ago. Or maybe we got something that should put on the list. We're up there.
Power Boost has range, man. With that Brendan Lee movie, Rapid Fire, he played a good guy. And playing a bad guy, I mean, he plays bad guys very well, but he actually did a good guy pretty well, too.
Tactus Jones said that Van Damme would beat Seagal like a cheap drum. Whereas The Rock said that one Fast and Furious movie beat his ass like a Cherokee drum. The one good line he had in that whole film. Powers Booth, another shout out from Rob. Under Siege was Rob's favorite movie in his childhood, literally 30 years ago. Who else do we got going on here? Yeah, Al Gore apparently was important, so there's that. Never understood the value of kidnapping the vice president. Well, maybe you get so now. Josh is joining us here today, saying that CS identifies as healthy, even though she's totally not. So yeah, sure, why not? I heard that John Saxon had a black belt in Shotokan karate, and was also proficient in judo as well. So
actually, yeah, he was. That's why. I know.
Yeah, CJ is saying something about chicken noodle soup right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I mean, Josh does have at least a somewhat winning record in bar fights. I mean, he wins the fight. It's just the stuff that happens after the fight that, usually gets him in trouble there. But, I'll give him that one.
It's not the stuff before the fight that gets him in trouble.
Well, I mean, the drinking definitely doesn't help his situation at all. But, So yeah, all of our guys who are joining us here, we got a few people on Rumble too. So glad you guys are joining us here for another Tuesday night. We can go ahead and get the show rolling. Let's start off with our good buddy Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is back in the headlines again because I don't know if you guys know this, but there's another election coming up just around the corner. We're less 13 months, 14 months away from the next presidential election. So it's already time for people to panic about Donald Trump being president of the United States again. All the polls that are coming out right now saying that Trump is basically running away with it at the moment. But then again, that's what was the case a few years ago until, some 4 a.m. Mail-in ballots came in and changed the source of the election. So I wouldn't get too excited, but there are people in Hollywood that are internally panicking right now because the poll numbers do not look good for good old Joe Biden. There's talks right now about maybe getting rid of Joe Biden, maybe replacing him with, Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom, which would all be way worse choices in my opinion. Because, at least with Joe Biden, he basically has the brain of banana pudding at this point. But all those other guys know exactly what they're doing, which makes them far more dangerous than Joe Biden. But Snoop Dogg is back in headlines because he had to come out and let everyone know that, they fortified those 4 a.m. mail-in ballots in Michigan and in Wisconsin. They were fortified. They were not stolen. You can't say the election was stolen here on YouTube. They don't like that. So it was
actually
fortified.
They're allowing that again
for now.
They said they're re-allowing it now.
Oh well, how great of our YouTube overlords to allow us to say that the election was stolen 3 years after it happened.
It's a trick. It's a trick, man. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, you can go say that, and then in 3 months they'll be like, oh yeah, this is not allowed to be said. We're gonna look at all your previous live streams and
now your channel's getting nuked. Here's 18 strikes. That's all you go there. The polls are a psyop. Robert was never ahead by 30 points. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, some of this stuff. But let's listen to our good old buddy. Here's another thing with rappers. I used to make this this observation years ago. Obviously when you rock artists, you'll still have Kiss and Van Halen and Metallica that will go out there and do concerts when they're in their 60s and whatnot. But I'm thinking to myself, what's gonna happen when these rappers turn 50 and 60? Are they still gonna rap about the same thing they were rapping about in 1992? Is that gonna be a thing?
And have not?
These bunch of AARP senior rappers talking about gin and juice. Really, is this where we're going with our society?
Rock and metal artists fucking sing about partying all night and all that shit. It's bro, you're one step away from permanently being in a wheelchair. Shut the fuck up. Either way, it's still you ain't doing it no more. You're just singing about it. That's about it.
Well, anyway, our good buddy Snoop Dogg.
About rappers and they just don't have a very long life. So I don't understand why you get them.
Sadly.
Yeah. A lot of guys. So. A lot of guys get gunned down pretty early. That's all we're gonna say. You don't see Taylor Swift and Katy Perry having a shootout outside of the VMAs. That's only
I would love to though.
Although there was that time with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. I did hear that Britney Spears went after Christina afterward.
Could you imagine Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears having an entourage beef with all 50 of their stooges, go on stage and just start slugging it out, and then somebody gets stabbed, and all of a sudden it's a police investigation?
Hey man, Christina Aguilera ain't got no fucking chance. Britney Spears dances with knives is a fucking rap.
There's a quick little sidebar here. It's almost like everyone was correct when they said that Britney Spears was a effing lunatic, and everyone was like, "No, they're taking advantage of her. She's fine. Give her rights back." And then he gave it back, and now look at what she's doing. So maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we should just send her back to the wacko basket.
Wait, you agree with California?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? A broken clock is right. Once a day, right? That's not the same.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's allowed to charge itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's a digital clock, it's once a day, so I'd like to live in the future. Anyway, here's Snoop Dogg whining about Donald Trump.
I just want to say this real quick, man, on the political shit. Ain't no fucking way in the world y'all can vote for Donald Trump when he come back up again. If y'all do vote for him, y'all some stupid motherfuckers. I'm saying that to y'all. And this punk motherfucker don't care. Don't vote for that nigga, please don't. Look what he do. He just don't give a fuck. Y'all honest, blue-collar, hard-working people and suffering. So if he don't care about y'all, he really don't give a fuck about us. So fuck him too. And fuck everybody down with Donald Trump. I said it, yeah, Snoop Dogg. Fuck him. I just want.
So he's back to doing this whole shtick. That was kind of his whole thing back during the first election, all the way back in 2016, where he was doing music videos, where he was pretending like he was shooting Trump, and he was going all over there saying F Donald Trump this, F Donald Trump that, F anyone who votes for Donald Trump. Look at all you people suffering. It's like, yeah, why exactly are so many people suffering now that Donald Trump has been gone from the White House over the last couple of years? I mean, you want to talk about blue-collar people suffering. Isn't it weird how almost immediately when Joe Biden became president of the United States, inflation started like skyrocketing out of control, and the next thing you know, people's mortgage rates were going up to ridiculous heights, and gas almost doubled almost immediately, and so many other things that are happening in the world that one thing we even said this like when it first happened. It's like I think people expected things to get bad. I don't think people expected it to escalate just as quickly as it did. And then here we are, just a handful of years later. We're not even to the next election yet. So many people out there are doing videos on social media crying because they don't have enough money to afford, gas and food and how to get to work and stuff like that. So people are obviously suffering, which is part of the reason why Donald Trump is doing so well in the polls right now. Is because people are realizing that, yeah, their lives were much better several years ago when Trump was actually the one in charge of everything versus when Biden's in charge now. And Snoop Dogg is his only playbook here is to essentially bully and shame people into voting for Biden, whoever the next Democrat stooge is, because like I said, these people are terrified that Trump is going to get back into the White House, and shocking, he may actually make things better again. I know it's kind of a meme at this point, but I think at this point we can take a little bit of better because the last few years have absolutely sucked. So Cassie, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you since you're a popular West Coast rapper connoisseur. What do you think about Snoop Dogg here? Like I said, essentially just parroting what the Hollywood narrative is and trying to get people to not vote for Donald Trump in 2024.
Yeah, if he holds that sentiment for Donald Trump, but doesn't hold the same kind of level for, the opposing party, you're just a fucking loser. You're a sellout. You're a bullshit artist. It's not like we haven't had it tough under Biden. And how can you sit here and in your nice fucking glass house and throw stones, motherfucker? It's insane how disconnected and how right people like this feel when it's like, bro, the world is burning under Biden. How could you sit here and say the other side is somehow worse? And you know what? At the end of the day, I see Trump as another fucking liberal. That's how I see him. But the problem, the reason why I like him is because I think that he will destroy the foundation, the evil, corrupt foundation of this country. I think more so I feel as though it's inadvertently. He's not intentionally trying to do that, but the hatred for Trump is so potent that he will inadvertently destroy the corrupt foundation of this country. And that's the only reason why it's like, I'd rather go for this liberal than the fake liberals that call themselves liberals when they're fucking commies at the end of the day. That's how I feel personally. So,
I will say this just real quick. Rob Motto, being the exception to the rule, is the only person who is unironically doing better now under Biden than he was under Trump a few years ago. Now, to be fair, he did move states, so that probably has a little bit more to do with it. But yeah,
I mean, when you escape a commie state, I mean, And actually, I'm not surprised that you're doing a bit better. So it is what it is. But yeah, like you can't sit here and not shit on Biden. You know, if he was shitting on a Bolt, it's like, hey, I ain't mad at you, bro. But clearly, you're just a bullshit artist, and you're in the pocket of the establishment. And it's sad that that's the case because, well, he started out fighting against the establishment. I mean, he was a fucking criminal, but I mean, hey, at least you were fighting against the establishment. Now he's a part of it. But I mean, look, man, I guess when all you do is smoke blunts all day, every day, your brain is about as fucking retarded as Joe Biden too. So
yeah. And I think what we're seeing here, just on that note, I feel like we can do an entire episode on this too, but you're starting to see like so many people who quote unquote were like freedom fighters, quote unquote, back in like the 1990s. And you've seen that over the course of the last 30 years, every single one of them have turned against their fight the power attitude and now just conform to the establishment. And it really comes down to the question of whether they were actually fighting the power to begin with, or if you guys know exactly what power they were fighting against at that time. But like I said, we can literally do an entire episode on that issue on itself. But
save it for a Bible Lens one.
Oh yeah, that might be just a little bit of a tease there I'm giving you. But Orange Chat, what do you think about Snoop Dogg's desperate comments here?
Well, it just reeks of, or as you say, it reeks of disparity. The fact that this piece of shit who is living in an ivory tower compared to the rest of us is asking for everybody who has been suffering under this under the piece of shit administration current, while he's doing just fine, takes balls, dude. I mean, as Cassie said, glass houses and all. Me, you throw a fucking stone at my house, I'll freaking toss or pull out a trebuchet on yours, motherfucker. Because honestly, what relevance does Snoop Dogg, or what weight does his opinion really have? I mean, one, he's a bitch ass thug. That's all he is. He's a bitch ass thug that rapped about all the numerous crimes he fucking committed, and he got fucking famous off of it. He smokes a bunch of blunts, he freaking bounces his fucking car, and that's about it. So honestly, what weight does his words really have? I don't give two shits what Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, or any of those piece of shit rappers have to say. Why don't you guys just start fucking blasting each other and just leave us the fuck alone? Go out and fucking avenge Tupac or some shit. I don't fucking care. Just your political freaking opinion means absolutely nothing to the hard workers out there who are actually paying attention to all of the spectrum of politics and not just the shit that you and the media want to sugarcoat. The media can't even fucking properly identify what our government or what our form of government is. Why the fuck would you even listen to it?
By the way, I just want to throw this out here. When Tupac and Biggie actually died, like, it was obviously a huge thing in the realm of music, because we didn't have like any kind of music stars for that hour just getting gunned down due to quote unquote beef in the matter that they did. Now it happens so often, like every couple of weeks you hear about a rapper getting gunned down or getting involved in a murder. It's like, it's so frequent now that nobody even like passes like blinks 9. Let's just maybe like a big name rapper. Like I think like the last couple of big name ones who were gunned down was like XXS Tentacion and Nipsey Hussle.
Never heard of them.
I'm gonna be real with you here too. Like I was in San Diego, LA, that whole scene. I guess when he was like on his rise and whatnot, I hadn't heard of him either until he had died. Like, to be quite honest with you, like I know he had frequent like the Laker games and like stuff like that, but I couldn't tell you one Nipsey Hussle song if you played it for me like right now. But when he died, everyone acted like, oh, this is like just as big as like Tupac's death. It's like, okay, I'll take your word for it, but that's pretty much all I
John Lennon
had.
die again? Wasn't
that an overdose?
No, I could have sworn somebody killed him.
Who?
John Lennon.
Yeah, he got murdered.
Okay.
Yeah, well then, fucking there you go. Fucking musicians have been murdered before.
Can
But
Snoop
I
Dogg
get it. They
even
haven't been
vote?
murdered from beef.
Can he even vote? I mean, isn't he a convicted felon?
I mean, he was on a murder charge not that long ago, so I honestly have no idea what Snoop's legal standing is in the state of California right now, but I would probably assume no. Because I know there's a few rappers that can't vote, like T.I., aka Total Informant, definitely not allowed to vote with his rap sheet.
Snoop Dogg fucks Martha Stewart. Of course, he's a fucking convict.
Hard
I
times,
would
dude.
love to see Martha Stewart with cornrows all of a sudden. So,
I guess Snoop Dogg actually, likes the idea that only he can buy guns in California because he can only afford them and not regular average people.
well, if he's a convicted felon, he shouldn't be allowed to have guns anyway.
No, he shouldn't.
If you have like some kind of like rap sheet, you're not allowed to have guns.
He shouldn't even be allowed to hold a prop gun in a movie, but he is.
When you've already proven that you don't know how to act around guns, that's when you usually should fight with that.
Well, I mean, the other side of this too is like, okay, well, you don't like this one candidate. Who are you going to promote then? You going to be rapping for Biden?
Rapping for Biden, baby.
I mean, did you see what fucking Joe Biden said recently?
Oh yeah, about LL.
About LL Cool Boy.
I mean, look, man, Snoop Dogg took
shit.
Biden seriously. If you don't vote for him, you ain't black, and he wants to keep his black card. So I get it.
You want to be black, right?
Was a bad dude, yeah.
Man, Charlemagne the God was such a fucking he was such a fucking puppet. He was such a fucking puppet.
Am I the only one where I hear the corn pop story? I'm thinking like a 1970s pimp wearing like lime green, just like stride walking down the street. Is that the only? Is that the only issue that I have in my mind? Or is that just me?
And not to mention, freaking Snoop Dogg is also racist towards his own race. I mean, anytime there's a black conservative out there, he'll freaking call them coons and Uncle Toms and all sorts of other shit.
Remember, I mean, look, Snoop Dogg is such a puppet and a sellout. Like, he went after Kanye West when Kanye West came out against Trump, and he was doing the same thing, calling him a coon, calling him a sellout. Yeah. And guess what? 2 years later, he was in a recording studio and working on a new song. So it's like he's such a piss in the wind type of personality. Like, he'll go wherever the money goes, and whoever the money tells him to support or not support, that's where he goes with. That's the type of guy he is. But Neo did ask an interesting question here: who's more of a BS artist, Snoop Dogg or Howard Stern? This is, for me, it's easy slam dunk Howard Stern, and it's only because when you compare what Howard Stern, how he actually built his legacy. Howard Stern built his legacy on being anti-censorship and pro-free speech. Like, his entire identity, his entire following was built on going against the system, going against the FCC, not listening to federal regulations, going to Sirius satellite radio where he can say whatever he wants without any restrictions whatsoever. Like, that's what he built his entire platform on, and now he's just completely and utterly sold out to the same audience that used to follow him like he was a religious leader. He's completely turned his back on them and bit them in the back. So it's like, yeah, it's easily Howard Stern for me. I don't know about you guys.
That's kind of like the liberal progression, though, is that when you finally get what you want, you start to realize that it's probably not actually good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, the people who were with you along the way will certainly turn their back on you one way or another. So that's usually what it ends up going to.
Well, I mean, like the conservative side of that is that you kind of you take a long time to parse through it, so you make less of a buffoon, I guess, of yourself.
Yeah. And I know Jimmy Kimmel was brought up earlier too. It's like, some people say that he's kind of a sellout because, obviously his whole claim to fame was the Man Show back in like the 90s and whatnot. But with Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, in all honesty, he sold out the second he signed that Disney contract. So, I mean, the second he became Disney's late night man, I mean, he pretty much threw anything that he had before that out the window, and now he's just basically a paid propagandist, just like all the other paid propagandists. Who, by the way, the writer's strike has officially ended, which means that all the late night shows are coming back now. So now we're gonna have 18 late night shows every single night telling you how bad Mitch McConnell is and how bad Donald Trump is. So just in case you missed that over the course of the last 5 months, they're all coming back. So ready to go, Hollywood.
It was a good vacation.
Mm-hmm. It was fun while it lasted.
I will continue to ignore them, frankly. So
I mean, bonfires do eventually have to burn out.
Unfortunately. Well, any last comments on this story before we jump over to our next one?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg, go suck a revolver.
I'm not worrying about politics until next November. So,
Alec Baldwin. How about that? I'll say that. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I agree with what Doba Fett says here. Like I said, same thing. Let's go ahead and just get a quick word from Rick. What do you think about the whole Snoop Dogg situation, Rick?
Oh, well, I'm still waiting for Martha Stewart to jump in and give us her opinion because we want to know if it's a good thing.
I will say too, like Snoop Dogg just has like the white woman politics down pat really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he learned from the best.
Yes. There's a reason that people hate white women. Is it because I figured it out? We're everything that everybody else wants to be. So she's not technically all white.
She's off white. She's off white.
But I mean, like, he's just in this for himself, like everybody else.
Yeah.
So he's just got a nice, black face to his white woman politics.
There was a time when he was when I think they were trying to promote him as sort of like a cuddly rapper type. He had the children's children's football team, and he was doing those commercials or TV show with the original Hood.
A lot of that had to do with the fact that he was trying to rehab his image because, like I said, he would literally just beat a murder case a few years before that. So, once that whole thing happened and then Death Row went down in flames, then he tried to rehab his image. Said, "Oh, I'm not this big scary gangster rapper that I made my entire career off of being anymore."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, murder was the case that they brought against him.
There is like a progression too in stardom where you fight against the system and then you become the system. So that's probably, that's where I see Howard Stern and at this point anyway. He is the machine. He's part of it now. He's part of the Borg.
Yep. So speaking of the machine, I did finally watch that movie on Netflix, and I could say it's not as bad as I expected it to be, but that's only as far as I can go. It's about a 2 out of 5. So
do you have any standards at all left, Jacob?
Not many. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. Here's the thing: with certain movies, if you just don't make me hate you, I might just give you a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, and that's kind of a sad state of affairs where we're at with movies in 2023. But that's kind of where we're at. If you can just mildly annoy me rather than piss me off, then I'll give you a little bit of leeway. So there you go. There's my playbook for Hollywood movie reviews. Just don't make me mad.
Gotta copyright it real quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, go on to our next story here. Let's jump back into this Russell Brand situation because Russell Brand, as you guys know, has been the target of a new cancel culture campaign. About a couple of weeks ago, there was a story that broke out in the UK saying that Russell Brand had allegedly sexually assaulted numerous women going back to nearly 20 years ago. All of a sudden, the media found a bunch of women to say that he did inappropriate things to him. I think there was even a rape allegation too. So Russell Brand came out before the report had even leaked to the internet, saying that he fundamentally denies any of these allegations. He says that he's been very honest about being promiscuous in his early Hollywood days, but everything he did was consensual. There was nothing out of the let's just say out of pocket. It depends on what your variation of out of pocket is, but of course they're using this to bring him down because, as we also showed last week, he's been saying some things on his podcast. Has been revealing some truths that the powers that be don't exactly like, and as with the last story, there is an election coming up, so they're trying to preemptively take down anyone who could sway the election away from the favor of the Democrats right now, and he happens to be one of those guys on the hit list. So they were trying to shut him down. He's standing strong now, but we don't know how far this is going to progress. Rumble came out not too long ago after YouTube completely demonetized his channel, and Rumble says, no, we're going to stand by Russell Brand. We're not going to allow these allegations to, we're not going to bring him down or follow what everybody else has been following right now. We're going to go our own way. This upset a lot of people, and now there's threats from the UK government and other countries that they're going to pull Rumble all out of certain countries if they don't comply with canceling Russell Brand. So here's here's a story here from the Financial Times or Economic Times. So I saw FT, but I was like, no, that's ET. I don't know why I see ET, but Russell Brand's Rumble to go online. Here's what the report claims. So this report is saying that Russell Brand's refugee platform Rumble faces the possibility of going offline due to impending safety regulations. This free speech, keep in mind, this is obviously written by a leftist because they put free speech in quotations like an asshole. But they said this free speech website, which the comedian uses to host his videos, could potentially be compelled to cease its operations in the United Kingdom, according to a report. Rumble, a Canadian-based platform, has come under scrutiny for its association with Russell Brand, who continues to utilize it to share videos while facing allegations of rape and sexual assault. Now, keep in mind, their problem here in this one sentence is that, he's continuing to post videos on this platform after he's been slammed with allegations. So they're more upset that he's posting videos than anything to do with the allegations of rape and sexual assault that they claimed over like a couple of weeks ago. But over the past year, Russell Brand has been consistently uploading his daily episodes of Stay Free program on Rumble following a partnership with The Sun. It says that the new regulations may compel Rumble's leadership to consider discontinuing the service in Britain, suggested by the Technology Report. A former executive of Facebook, Lord Allen, exposed his belief to the Times that the heightened regulatory environment may discourage Rumble's management from continuing its operations in the UK. So in other words, just in case you guys didn't know this, the UK, not a free speech country. They don't believe in free speech. This is the type of place where you can say something on Twitter and literally have cops knocking on your door within the hour. This is the type of place that you live in the UK. So Brand's presence on Rumble was a popular site with conservatives and far-right groups. Oh no, not the far-right. He has a channel at 1.6 million subscribers on Rumble, which is actually pretty good considering Rumble's viewer base. But the site has been criticized at times for disinformation and conspiracy theories. Ooh. So basically what they're saying here is that, there's a probe into the allegations right now, and now people are targeting Rumble because Russell Brand is still allowed to speak on that platform, and he's still getting play there versus like other social media networks that have promptly gotten rid of him. I think his agency dropped him not too long ago. There's been a few other people who have dropped Russell Brand. So really this all comes down to political pressure. They want Rumble to not be the free speech platform that it claims to be because there's certain people on there who shouldn't be allowed to speak. So now they're upset about this whole thing. Cassie, I'll start the story off with you. What do you think about the UK government trying to force Rumble to not be a free speech platform and to get rid of Russell Brand, and basically Rumble saying no, go F yourself?
Yeah, I really do hope that Rumble stands strong. I mean, this is the same country that arrested a child that I believe it has some sort of mental disability. Yeah, an autistic child, for simply saying to a police officer, "Oh, you look like a lesbian, just like my aunt." Like that was apparently hate speech in in England over there, and that child apparently was arrested for simply saying that. And this is the type of stuff that we fear in America. We fear a police state to that level, and that is why this is a big issue that I personally hold, against conservatives of being too pro-police, because we see what happens in a police state, and it's highly, highly concerning to me. And in regards to Russell Brand, I mean, the only issue I would have theoretically with Russell Brand's situation is if he monetizes his videos talking about these allegations. I feel like I feel like you shouldn't do that, but everything else, unless there's proof, it is what it is. And I hope that Rumble does not cave to this insane fucking police state that is, England and whatnot. They're clearly in the wrong here. Unless you provide serious proof, I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. I'm tired of this shit, and I'm tired of at any point, seeing this constantly happen to people who happen to be against the establishment. I would love to see all these allegations, start for, the heads of Google, the heads of these people, these deplatformers. I would love to see it. And you know what? I'd be like, good for you. And I hope that they're as fake and as phony as a lot of these other allegations have been, because you quite frankly deserve it. And a lot of these individuals that have power over these platforms, they need to experience the same sort of shit that is what it is, because I want you to hold to your, quote unquote morals. So if that does happen to happen, I'm just going to be sitting here with a fat old smile on my face. But as of right now, I don't really, I know Russell Brand, is a bit of a party guy back in his day. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry if you're going to come at him with allegations like 20 years later, particularly when he speaks against the establishment. I have a hard time giving a fuck about what you have to say.
Rick, you're a little bit of a nerd. Let me ask you a question here. You know what a weeb is, right? You've ever heard that term before?
No.
He doesn't know.
I have.
A dickless weeb? Or dickless dweeb?
I mean, either or, but basically weeb is just turning a general term that's thrown out for people who really love Japan more than they probably should.
Where's Nerdigans?
Yeah, Nerdigans is a perfect example of a weeb. Like she'll bring up Japan even when Japan has nothing to do with the conversation whatsoever. But
I do love Empress Masako. I will admit to that. So,
well, how about this? Have you ever heard of Anglophile before?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
have been accused of being one.
Yeah, so those are people who like the UK probably a lot more than they probably should. And I'll admit it, I had a little bit of an Anglophile phase, like about maybe 10, 15 years ago when I discovered soccer and Big Brother UK, but that ended very, very quickly once I started to see the type of policies that the government of the UK was endorsing and kind of the people that were congregating there. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is a bad situation. I'm out, deuces. But a lot of people don't really realize just how tyrannical that country truly is. I mean, Josh obviously brought it up here. Like I said, these are the type of people, if you post something that upsets the government in the UK, they'll have cops knocking at your door. You can't pray on the streets if you have a certain religion, even though the other certain religion is allowed to pretty much take over your area. It's the most surveilled city. I mean, it's not city, it's like London, but it's one of the most surveilled places like in the world. Like it's talking about complete and utter total police state. Even in a lot of ways, even worse than what we have here in the United States, if you can believe that too. But this is one of those examples here of is the UK government of all people trying to force a company not even based in their country to censor a guy based on allegations that haven't even been proven yet. We're acting like that Russell Brand is like on trial for something that he's been accused of. Like none of this has actually gone into criminal investigation whatsoever, but these are the tactics that they're using. So what's kind of your take on what the UK government is doing here with this Rumble battle?
Well, first, I will say that I do not have a portrait of Her Late Majesty in my home.
I didn't either. I'll admit this right now. I never gave a crap about the Queen or any of the royal family. I mean, Kate was hot for like a year or so, but then outside of that, it was like I was done. Like, who cares? I'm talking about like 11 years ago. I ain't talking about like now.
Yeah, I will point out, for those who do not know, that the current British government technically is held by the Conservative Party. All right. So if this is the Conservative Party that seems to be willing to go along with it, you can imagine what Labour, which is their Liberal Party, would do. First off, these are still allegations. He has not gone to trial. He has not been convicted. As such, I don't see why they have decided that they're or calling to remove anything that he says. He's as far as I know, he's not even been formally charged. These are just accusations. I think there's a little background being the Anglophile here. People may not know about the Jimmy Savile case, and if you saw the Netflix documentary, A British Horror Story, which wasn't that good, to be honest, but there was that whole scandal where this man who portrayed himself as very charitable was found to have assaulted people for like 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, he was a horrendous sex offender that pretty much everyone knew about, and not a single person did anything about it. So just in case you thought that the UK version of Hollywood was any better than the US, no.
It would be a bit like having like Mr. Rogers and Bill Cosby blended into one, and then you find out that he was that they were doing that. I mean, Bill Cosby, we know. But point being, all these allegations started barely coming out when he was in his like last days, and then they really exploded after he died. Here with Russell Brand, it's different. He's still very much alive. Anyone who believes these allegations, you need to kind of back up and say he's not even been charged yet. When you want to deplatform him and remove him from speaking or doing anything, if you believe them, you're actually giving credence to the suspicion that you are conspiring against him merely because he's saying things that you don't like. You're actually suggesting that, hey, yes, maybe we are going to silence him because he can't say certain things that are against like the vaccine or whatever. That's what I see. I say let the man speak. He hasn't been charged, he hasn't been indicted, no one has actually brought any criminal charges. They've just been accusations. Right or wrong, he's still innocent until proven guilty. There's too much of a rush to condemn someone without even a trial. We just can't take their word for it. That's why we have trials. And until he's actually charged, indicted, convicted, then we can say, yeah, pull him out. I know Rob is in the chat. Rob is very much supportive of Kevin Spacey. He was recently acquitted of all those charges. And
well, to be fair, it's easy to be acquitted when all your witnesses die before the trial. So
I will say this also. A good example of someone that I think should get the boot is EDP 445. This is a dude that this is a YouTuber who was caught trying to meet up with little girls.
Not once, but twice.
Yes, more than one time. And it's like, has he been convicted? No. Is he guilty as fuck? Yes. Clearly is well documented. That's a different story to me. That's one of those where it's like, I don't feel bad for you, dog. But right now with Russell Brand, I'm sorry, there needs to be proof of this shit. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck.
It's one thing to be caught in 4K. It's a whole nother thing to be caught in 4K twice. Like, how do you let that happen?
Yes.
I'll add to this a little bit. So Canada is still part of the Commonwealth of the UK. So I can understand why they would put pressure on him, I guess. But I don't know how successful they'll be based on their laws.
The laws in the UK are a twisted mirror of the United States, because over here in the US, it is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Over in the UK, well, yeah, it's supposed to be that, but anyway, over in the UK, it is you are guilty until proven innocent.
I thought
it is actually like that, because you have to, or when Johnny Depp was, or the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing over in the UK, when he was suing the Sun, all they said was he was a wife beater and all that. He had to prove that he wasn't. The burden of proof falls on the accused in the UK. So that is twisted. And where...
How does one prove that there's no evidence?
You gotta basically have... You have to have exculpatory evidence. Evidence that is undeniably clearing for your case. Me, I relate to Russell Brand because I myself have gone through the whole false accusation things. There was absolutely no way they could have proven that I was guilty of what they said I was, because one, I was living in a completely different area, and two, they came up with years that made it impossible for it to have happened. But with Russell Brand, these are accusations, and all it takes is an accusation to ruin a person's life. All it takes, because now he's marked. They said, the whole Me Too movement has basically made it that if a woman's word, if they are claiming that they have been violated, is gold. It's as good as gold. And I'm sorry, I feel it should be as good as fool's gold. Are they allowed to be heard, to have their case heard, to have their voice heard for what they said? Yes, but you better fucking bring the proof. Because honestly, if you are bringing a false accusation, you should do the amount of time that a person who was found guilty of what you are accusing them would do, which is 10 to 15. If that or if a person does a false accusation, they should do 10 to 15 years. As for Rumble being censored and also having threats of boycott, well, apparently Burger King has pulled their sponsorship from them. So
Burger
they're
King
basically
has been like going bankrupt though, so I kind of think this was a nice exit for them.
Yeah, it is. But they're basically going to try to do the war of attrition against Rumble. They're going to try to starve them of money. And honestly, in today's climate, that is the best way to do it because it is a form of boycott. And we've all learned under the right circumstances, boycotts work. Look at Bud Light. But anyway, I do think that it's wrong to censor the man. He does have a right to be heard. I believe that the proof needs to be brought out. I agree with Rick very clearly. Due process is one of the most important things that needs to stay in practice. And the presumption of innocence until proven guilty also needs to stay in practice. In court of public opinion, as I said in my own video, is one of the most evil practices out there because unfortunately it has too much influence in societal function.
Yeah, and here's the problem. Like, this is what it all really comes down to. It's like I said, there's nothing criminal has been filed or even investigated at this point, and they're not looking for any criminal charges. They're really not. They're looking to destroy someone's reputation so that they can weaponize a lot of these companies against them. That's essentially what they're doing here. When you have these allegations of, oh, this person allegedly did something for me 25 years ago. Do you have any proof whatsoever? No. Well, I have my allegation. And then they just run out with the allegation. And then that's pretty much what it comes. Everyone labels you this and that, even though there isn't a single thing. Like, I can sit here and say 25 years ago, Cassie punched me in the face and took my lunch money. Do I have anything to prove it? Nope. But I could just say that it happened, and all you guys think that Cassie's this horrible person, right? And that's pretty much the world that we're in now. And then this is
the world a favor, damn it, and everyone knows it.
I want my Lunchables back, but I like the pizza ones. But it's just like it's so dumb. Like this is what the world that we've set up, and this is what the age of Me Too has ushered in. We've set up Harvey Weinstein as kind of like this false sacrifice for, oh, this is a sacrifice for the liberation of all women. No, this is what you've done. You've created a world essentially where the accusations matter more than the evidence, where we can just destroy someone's reputation, career, and life based on something that someone allegedly said, where there's any truth behind it whatsoever. And this is what they do. They know exactly what they're doing because, like I said, their job is to destroy Russell Brand's reputation, destroy his income so that he can't continue to say the things that he's been saying unabated, the way that he's been doing it for the last couple of years. That's all it comes down to. So
we've
One
seen
of the
this
things
before.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, Rick. So, one of the things I specifically remember about the 2012 election, it was like the first thing it was the first one I voted in, I think. And Herman Cain had this lady come out and say that like he'd like assaulted her and they had a long-standing affair and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he backed out saying that his family was just his priority and this was too upset for them. Yeah, and it turned out like she was lying the entire time, and like nobody in the media really picked up on it except for like the one channel that my dad was watching or whatever. I don't even know who it was. I didn't see it was not Fox. So it was some weird random Sirius XM channel that was talking about it. And so I always think of that when I'm like, oh, okay, here we go again.
Yeah, we've seen this before so many times. I mean, going back, and I've mentioned this before, to the Salem witch trials, where again we would just take their word for it. I mean, that's an early case of Believe All Women, where all these girls were just launching accusations left, right, and center. The whole point about McCarthyism is that you really didn't even need evidence. You just presented someone and say, oh, yes, this person's a communist, and that's the case. We saw this with Brett Kavanaugh, where we were just taking the case that was it 50 years ago or 30 years ago, he was leading some sort of rape gang, and we're just going to take these persons' word for it. The problem that comes from that is that these people come with allegations 20, 30 years ago, even 15 years ago, 10 years ago. These sort of things should be, and I've said this before, should be reported immediately, because these are violent acts against women, on occasion men. They need to be reported, because these are violent crimes and they should be investigated, and the person needs to be stopped. Waiting so long and then just having all of these people just pile on and pile on and pile on, again, assuming that these things actually happened, it only gives credence to the idea that maybe people are just piling on, some for publicity, some for political motives. I mean, it's just sad, again, that we have to go through this.
Like I said, I'll cap this one off here. At the end of the day, we have to realize that there are very evil people out there, and they're creating a very evil system that use that only to corrupt and oppress their enemies at this point. This is pretty much what it goes down to. We've seen this time and time again. Like I said, this isn't the first time. This won't be the last time, and he's not the only one that this has happened to. This is going to continue to happen until someone pushes back, or until we get to a point where, let's just say, not so calmly methods are used at this point, because we're rapidly going down a path of no return here. Some say we've already passed no return, but once we actually get to that point, you're going to realize that once these people show their true colors, there's only going to be one option, one way or another. I don't think there's going to be a friendly, we can vote our way out of this solution to this problem here. But speaking of completely evil pieces of crap, let's go on and jump over to this story. I swear, when I heard this story, I thought that this was a joke. I did not think that this was real. I thought that this was literally something that like Alex Jones had cooked up and somebody just ran with it from InfoWars. But other media outlets started to report this, and apparently it's real now. So we've mentioned this woman before. Her name is Marina Abramović, I believe is her name. And we've mentioned her a couple times here on this podcast, on this show. If you guys don't remember, this was the woman who is known for her quote-unquote performance art. She has been involved in a lot of these weird occultic performance art pieces over the last several decades. And let's be very, very clear here. This person is literally a demonic witch. I don't mean like a demonic witch like Taylor Swift is just a demonic witch lady. I know this person is literally doing occult magic right in your faces. And there's a lot of things that will spread out here. But this is a woman who was exposed initially back in 2016 with the WikiLeaks scandal, because it turns out that John Podesta and Hillary Clinton were very close acquaintances of hers, and they were doing a private spirit cooking session at their home. Now, spirit cooking, what we found out years later, was basically an event where you mix numerous bodily fluids in order to contact spirits, and there are pictures of this event plastered all over the internet, so go check some of those out on your own time. But then it snowballed into people saying, well, wait a second, this woman was seen with this celebrity and that celebrity, and the next thing you know, here's pictures of her with Lady Gaga in the forest, and there's pictures of her with Lady Gaga at a spirit cooking section, and you see her with Jay-Z and Hillary Clinton and Jared Leto and Cillian Murphy, and all of these big time Hollywood and political leaders all have connections to this woman. It's almost like she's basically like what Jeffrey Epstein was, who was that figure who you always see around these very powerful people, but nobody really knew who he was and what he was really doing until, obviously he got caught and, offed himself in a prison here. But she's another one of these people who more and more people are starting to find out about. So when this story came out, this was a major red flag for a lot of people, because apparently Zelensky, the puppet president of Ukraine, who's currently in a war with Russia right now, apparently wants this demonic witch to...
Russia won.
I mean, they won. Let's be honest. They won the second that war started. There was never a real war out there. But the cultic witch is now being primed to be the ambassador for Ukraine, especially when it comes to schools with children. So let's get into this story here. Ukrainian President Zelensky has allegedly asked occultic spirit cooking performance artist, I know how to say performance artist, to serve as the ambassador for his country, according to the London Telegraph. This was debuting her first solo British exhibit here. She's 67 years old. And I know she's like, wow, you doesn't look 67. Yeah, that's what being a witch will do to you. But claiming that she asked her to come to be an ambassador to help the country rebuild its school system. So a satanic witch is someone who you want to have access to children and be in charge of possibly indoctrinating them with very, very evil stuff. I don't see how this could possibly end well, but the comment says that I've been invited, this is her speaking here, I've been invited by Zelensky to be an ambassador for Ukraine to help the children affected by rebuilding schools and such. She has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine ever since the beginning of this war, which is another red flag that if you support the Ukraine, you're probably not on the right side, despite what the media tells you. The Serbian artist went on to claim that she's also been invited to join the board of the Babin Yar organization, which protects Holocaust Memorial Center for Jews killed by Nazis in Ukraine, which was damaged by a Russian missile strike and shortly following last year's invasion. So, Abramović, who's a big anti-Putin person, shocker here, was installing a crystal wall of crying at the center just months prior to the invasion. Visitors or the structure was encouraged to interact with the crystals and meditate. And yeah, if you know the context of crystals and meditation when it comes to these people, that's once again another red flag. I should have downloaded that meme, that big old red flags thing. I probably have to do that here in a second here, but. Yeah, so this woman has been involved with so much disturbing stuff that people have exposed over the last few years. There's videos of her doing very, very creepy things with blood, especially pig's blood and other weird bodily fluids that she does for her performance art. Because remember, it's just art, bro. Like I said, you can see videos of her doing cannibalistic style dinner sessions where she'll serve food literally in the styles of like human beings, and there's some very disturbing images of that on social media, along with some of your favorite celebrities like Will Ferrell and Gwen Stefani are also involved with this too. Like, this woman is an absolute creeper in every sense of the word. Like, here's a picture of it here. I mean, you're talking about just pure evil. I know some people are like watching some of these pictures here, just getting very, very dark vibes. Yeah, this is what pure evil looks like, and this person is now going to be in charge of, I guess, education to Ukrainian children. Which, good luck with that one. That's all I have to say here. I know Orange just jumped. Oh, no, there he is. I was about to cut back to you. I'm going to go ahead and start this one off of you if you've been following this whole thing. What is your thoughts on this demonic witch being tied to the Ukrainian government?
Well, I have said numerous times about the whole war over in Ukraine. Fuck you, or fuck the Ukrainian government. Do I believe that people have a right to defend themselves? Yes, but their government is not worth supporting. As for this demonic, bitch, to put it more accurately, somebody needs to dust off the Malaya Maleficara. Let's just say that, because, well, it's a good way to solve the problem. This woman, I haven't followed all this, but apparently,
just real quick, if you guys saw this picture, imagine this person being in charge in any way, shape, or form with children.
Anybody like this, or if anybody lets somebody like this around children, that the people who allowed it and the person themselves, use your imagination. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I usually say. I'm just going to simply say use your imagination and leave it at that. That person is evil, and there's only one real path, or there's only one real solution to evil.
And for this week, not your other comments that you've made on this show, but for this week, I would actually agree with those sentiments for the most part. Johnson, let me just ask you, what's kind of your take on this whole thing with this person who clearly has very powerful connections with not only just like celebrities and leaders here in the United States, but apparently leaders all over the entire world. Like I said, there's so many red flags here that it's amazing to me that people don't see them yet, or maybe they're just continuing to ignore them. Like, what's kind of your take on this thing?
I guess it's not that surprising, I guess, that he'd want somebody that be very good at getting money and children and fresh supplies, shall we say, in charge of being an ambassador. Yep. I mean, isn't a certain global initiative back in business this week too? They made the news this week doing something.
Yeah, it's back. It's back, and it feels like they're preparing for a lot of very let's just say sinister stuff too. Here's a video of this woman throwing pig's blood onto not only onto a wall, so I think at one point she even like throws it into like an effigy of like a child that was just sitting on the corner of the room. Like it's very, very disturbing and demonic in all aspects too. So, like I said, this person who's gonna have access to kids. Even I know people don't like the Ukraine, but still the Ukrainian kids, that's still bad. Like I'm pretending like it's not still bad.
Well, I mean, the Ukraine is actually a very Christian country too, so I can understand why they would be interested in moving their satanic territory forward.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's stuff with like Lady Gaga. She's had many encounters with this crazy evil woman too. But Cassie, I'm going to throw this one over to you. Kind of what's your take on this whole thing? I know it's kind of the realm of like, occultism and international politics. Not exactly your wheelhouse, but just kind of what's your vibes on this whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, when you look at the Ukraine-Russian situation, I don't really have a side. I think that they're, like all these world governments are evil in one way, shape, or form. So seeing them want to bring this person to power, honestly, I'm not even surprised anymore. I have little faith in world power entirely, and watching. I'm not surprised that feathers are being ruffled. This war is definitely part of that, just to move in some really questionable people. Sort of like being able to force them into power, and nobody's batting an eye because all this stuff is going on in the world. All these chips are being moved around, and it is highly concerning. It does. I don't really see how this is justifiable to put someone with her background in charge of the future of children. It seems like an oxymoron. It's creepy. I mean, I hope that we do raise awareness in some way, shape, or form, and that this doesn't happen. But this speaks levels to me, in sort of, it is demoralizing to see people in power pushing this fucking weird, creepy shit in the way that they're doing.
And it's worth noting too here that ever since, like I said, she got exposed with WikiLeaks, like they tried to lay low with her for a while, but there's been numerous times where they've tried to bring her up in kind of like the mainstream world as like some kind of like a hero that we should be idolizing, which is also very disturbing too. Like if you recall, about 3 or 4 years ago, Apple was doing a promotion with her, or was supposed to do a promotion with her, and they were like promoting it, and it was like a big thing within the Apple Corporation. And then of course people who knew her background was like, well, wait a second, why is Apple teaming with this woman? Like, do you not know who this woman is? And then Apple kind of very quickly backed off of this whole thing. By the way, this is her art too, just in case you guys didn't realize. But so they were like, what the hell are you guys doing here? But even then, you'll go on, if you search her name on Google right now, there's articles talking about how her performance art is empowering to the 99%, and it's all about female empowerment. All this just absolute garbage nonsense. And despite everything that we've known, despite everything that we can see with this woman with our own 2 eyes, they're still trying to prop her up as some kind of figure to be idolized, as if she's some kind of any way, shape, or form, any kind of respectable person, when it's clearly that this woman is quite literally, not even figuratively, just throwing out the term, quite literally a demonic witch who happens to have major connections to our world government, which should also say very bad things about the people in our celebrity society and our world government society as well, if these are the type of people that she's deciding to associate themselves with.
I honestly would have been more shocked if Putin had asked for her to be the ambassador. It doesn't really surprise me, though, that it's Zelensky. I mean, I understand Putin has, a lot of murder charges against him and stuff. But one thing that he is pushing is more of a Russian nationalist identity.
Yeah.
And this lady is obviously like a demonic globalist connection point. So, I mean, even on a humanist level, without religion involved, it doesn't strike me as that surprising.
I'll answer Duke's question. They tell us that it's pig's blood, but like I said, who really knows at the end of the day? I wouldn't be surprised one way or another. Rick, what's your thoughts on this creepy demonic witch lady?
There is so much wrong with this, even before we get to the witchcraft.
Yeah.
First, why does a foreign head of state get to decide whom the ambassador will be from another country? That's my question. And second, who would nominate her? I mean, Zelensky cannot say, all right, I'm going to pick this woman to be my ambassador. I want you to appoint her. She has to be appointed by the head of government, which would be either what? It would be either the if she's British or a British citizen, it would be the prime minister and formally appointed by the king. If it's the United States, it would have to be the president who would appoint her. So I don't like the idea that a foreign head of state says, I want you to pick this person and she will be the head of state. I mean, she will be the ambassador. Second, the ambassador's job is to represent your country's interests in that foreign country. It's not to rebuild schools. It's not to take care of the children of of the country that she is located at. That's an absurdity. So I don't know why they would want to involve a foreign ambassador in their education system. It would be like having the ambassador from Ghana doing the Department of Education here in the United States. That makes no sense. There's no logic to having this. Third, what exactly are her qualifications to be ambassadoress for any country that she wants to represent? Does she have any foreign policy experience? Does she actually know who the various ministers would be that she would be working with? What are her actual qualifications? All of that comes to mind even before we get to the witchcraft thing here. Is that her qualification, that she practices witchcraft and does all this very bizarre so-called art? Why would Zelensky want this kind of person to be an ambassador?
Because when you understand that Zelensky's a puppet, just like a lot of these other celebrities as well, it makes a lot more sense at the end of the day.
I would just say that if he wants an ambassador, he should appoint that 98-year-old Nazi whom Fidel Castro Jr. Gave a standing ovation to in
Little Stro.
Yeah, they should just appoint him. I mean, he's Ukrainian and he was fighting the Russians, so he's an old hand, literally, at trying to fight for the Ukrainian people. Even if
he's too busy getting extradited.
Yeah, to Poland, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much weird in all of this. Again, I don't like the idea that a foreign head of state can tell another country, appoint this particular person as your ambassador, that they would be willing to go along with that she has no qualifications, and that she's getting involved in their education system. Zelensky should just invite her to say, hey, reform our schools and just have the human sacrifices all over the place. I mean, that's what he wants. None of this makes any sense, and that's before
human sacrifice is one way to get rid of certain things.
Yeah, I mean, especially child sacrifice, and of course, this person is around children, so I'm pretty sure Molek would be very, very happy about this. But
none of this. But I want to know, what are her actual qualifications to be the representative of the UK or the US or Canada? What are her actual qualifications apart?
I think she has plenty of disqualification.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm. Like, put it this way: would any of you trust this woman with your kids for 10 minutes, let alone a future? Because it's like,
there are some children over at the public library whom I would not mind, sending her to. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and look, I've mentioned this before. Rob and me have all mentioned this before. 15, 20 years ago, when people really started paying attention to kind of the whole like Illuminati conspiracy theories and stuff like that, everyone kind of scoffed at it, myself included, because at the time it just didn't make any sense to us. We were kind of young and naive, like Rick, except for the young part. But we were like all naive and whatnot. We think that, oh, this doesn't make any sense. How can these people, these powerful people, be evil and Satan worshippers and all this other stuff? And it's like we didn't see it outright with our minds at the time. Like it was a lot more subtle. So it's like all that stuff kind of like went over our heads, and now it's gotten to a point in a lot of cases where you got to just accept exactly like what this is. There's still people who are going to be in denial, saying that, oh, that was all performance art. There's nothing to be alleviated from this right here. It's like, look, the fact that this woman is in touch with, like I said, very powerful world leaders, not just here in the United States, but all over the globe at this point. Your favorite celebrities, I'm pretty sure you saw a whole bunch of them in the course of that video. By the way, if you see any of your favorite celebrities in a picture with this woman, that would be like... I would just assume that Joe's people are already compromised, like as it is. And here's the thing. These people are very, very evil. They're very, very sick, and they have a very, very sinister agenda. So if Zelensky is teaming up with this woman and they're hatching a plan that is targeted towards the children of that country, you can only assume that plan is evil. And like I said, I can only tell people because, look, seriously, here in the United States, there are people both left and right. There was no political, let's just say, divide when it came to this issue. A lot of people just assumed that the Ukraine was the good guy in this whole fight with Russia for the last couple of years. Everyone just assumed, whether you were Democrat or Republican, Putin is evil, Putin is bad, we have to stop Putin, Putin needs to die under any circumstances, where we drone strike him, kill him, he's the one who needs to die because he's the most evil person in the entire world. And then the good guys, the quote-unquote the good guys in this scenario, these are the people who they're teaming with. So you have to just accept the fact that you're living in a world full of lies. These people are outright lying to you every single day about everything. Like, you have to assume everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. When someone is known for lying constantly and frequently, you can't just sit there and be like, well, okay, 90% of the things they say is lies, but that's one situation. No, they're telling the truth on this one thing. No, everything is a work. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you already kind of born with a sense of discernment when it comes to stuff like this, because you just assume that everything is a work and that everything is fake. When it comes to our world of entertainment and politics and everything that's going on here, it's just one big pro wrestling tent. Everything is a work, and we're working the audience into thinking that all of this stuff is real. And if you think at this point, with everything that we've covered here in the last few months, that these people are still on the up and up, I mean, I think the only thing I can say at this point is, you fucking mark. There's really not much else to say about this story. But if you guys thought,
there's actually like a verse in the Bible that says that, like, you know, if you persist in your delusion, like in going against God, he'll give you over to the spirit of delusion.
Oh yeah, I think that's the entire book of Romans speaks about that. Like, God turned them over.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like that's more the case. You know, maybe you should start carrying holy water and some crucifixes around. You know. Mm-hmm.
Or a gun. I think a gun works too. I mean, if it really gets down to it.
Well, I mean, he just told the disciples to sell your, you know, get a sword.
Find someone the blessed 9mm bullets and wish them the best of luck, and it still works just the same. But unfortunately, this story does get worse here, because we're going even deeper into the rabbit hole now. This is another crazy story that I thought was fake until we found out that it wasn't fake. Little known fact: CAA. If you guys don't know what CAA is, Creative Artists Agency, it is the biggest agency in all of Hollywood. So when you look at the Hollywood system, where it comes to, you know, actors, comedians, musicians, all the big name stars you can possibly think of, CAA is the biggest agency in town. Endeavor is also pretty big as well. I think they're number 2, but CAA has always historically been the biggest Hollywood agency. Like, it's the agency that's like so elite. You can't just be like a normal, like, you know, 9-to-5 actor and be in CAA. Like, you have to be at the top of the game to even be invited into CAA at this point. And there's the company company is under sale right now, or is being sold to a name that you may not know, but if you've been paying attention to our show, you may actually know exactly who this guy is. So François-Henri Pinault. Rick, I know you love saying this name. Rick just went away. Damn it.
I'm here.
I know you love saying this name, so you go ahead and say it for us just real quick.
François-Henri Pinault.
Pinault. Yeah, that's what we'll call it here. Well, he's heading the company who's buying CAA right now for $7 billion. Now, let's just read a little bit of this story here, and it's all going to start making sense here. Now, this is just more about kind of the financial aspects of this deal, which is not really the most important thing about this story, but we're just kind of setting the tone here. Creative artist agency sales to François here is shaping up for a $7 billion sale to be the true Hollywood blockbuster of the year, with the potential to redefine deal making in a town where talent agencies are quickly consolidating their power with the rest of the industry. So the same thing that happened with, movie studios back in the day. If you go back 35, 40 years, you probably had 35 major studios who were making movies, a lot of content. That's why you had a lot of diversity in movies back during those times. Well, over the course of the last 30 years, most of those companies have been bought out by other companies. The big ones have pretty much swallowed up the entire market to the point where there's only really about 4 or 5 major studios right now, and that's why everything sucks. There's a very good reason for that. And the same thing is happening with talent agencies. Endeavor and CAA are basically swallowing up all of the smaller agencies that they possibly can to essentially be a duopoly, which is the 2 biggest agencies running the town. But the acquisition is currently turning into trouble production, with disgruntled filing work CAA agents who are unhappy, and the top brass is making out like bandits while they're left holding the bag. Very little they're whining about money, and it's like, look, you guys are overpaid when it comes to this anyway, so you guys really shouldn't be crying about money. But this is the thing. CAA, like I said, have some of the biggest celebrities in the industry are in this label. Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Scarlett Johansson, Nicole Kidman, just to name a very few here. We're talking about an agency with ties to the Obamas, with the Clintons. Everyone has some kind of tie to CAA. Gavin Newsom, obviously, is another name associated with this. CAA was big on the whole Time's Up and the Me Too situation that happened a few years ago. So if you don't know who this guy is, he's a French billionaire who happens to be the husband of Selma Hayek. So Selma Hayek is married to this person, and he's also the head of the flashing conglomerate Kering as well. So you think to yourself, wait, flashing conglomerate, I think I've heard that name before. Yeah, you probably have heard that name before, because that parent company also happens to own a little luxury brand called Balenciaga. Now, I remember a couple weeks ago we brought up Balenciaga again, and just in case you guys don't know that story, last year they got caught sneaking in a lot of let's just say evil references in a lot of their high quality luxury ads, once again involving children. So here's that theme again. But there was I guess an artist there that was sneaking references into pedophilia, sneaking references into child bondage, child rape. There's references to Baal worship in a lot of these things. People started digging up some very, very dark and sinister things in these ad campaigns. What Balenciaga did is that they essentially temporarily got rid of the guy responsible for the campaign. They got busted. They then nuked their social media so that people couldn't find any more instances of disturbing stuff. But there's a very, very long thread out there if you find if you dig deep for it, about pretty much profiling exactly what this organization was doing. And I've said this before here, just real quick too. If you notice the really real demonic stuff that you see in pop culture these days, it comes out of 2 industries primarily. It comes out of the music industry and the fashion industry. And I would argue at this point the fashion industry is probably worse than the music industry, which is saying a lot. But in case you guys haven't been putting this whole story together here, let me lay out for you. The guy who owns Balenciaga's parent company, so the guy who's de facto running Balenciaga, has now just bought the largest Hollywood agency in the business. So that whole world of evil, twisted, questionable crap is coming together to one here, and everything comes from the top down. It starts from the government officials to Hollywood to a lot of these companies, these brands, to the people who are running this company. It is all all one evil entangled web. And once again, we are seeing this once again with the acquisition here of quite literally the largest talent agency in Hollywood. Orange Hat, I will start this off with you once again. I don't know if there's anything to say specifically about this story, but what do you think about let's just say the webs being exposed for public light about all these connections here to the world that we live in, especially here in the United States?
Well, funny how you call it a web, because it's kind of very fitting. How would one get rid of a bunch of spider webs? Well, my brother John took an aerosol can one time and lighter to the spider webs to get them out of the garage. Basically, same method, but grander in scale to get rid of all this evil. Burn it down.
I mean, look, I know, especially like in our spirit, where I think like, oh, the government is evil. We need to fight against the government, and that's true. I'm not saying that the government isn't evil, and I don't take this for me caping up for the government, but you have to understand that the government at the end of the day is only like a very small piece to a much more dangerous, much more evil regime. Like the government is basically just like a mechanism for a greater evil agenda that's going on here. And like I said, you just see it everywhere at this point. You see it in Hollywood, obviously. You're going to see it even more in Hollywood now with this acquisition, but you see it in Hollywood. You see it in the fashion industry, the music industry, the so-called performance art industry. It's like they're basically telling you outright exactly what they are and who they work for. And like I said, it's getting so obvious now that maybe 15, 20 years ago, you can claim that, well, you just didn't see it beforehand. If you're still not seeing what's going on now, it's like, I don't know exactly like what to tell you. You're in like a hardcore level of denial at this point.
This is what's known as, well, for Star Wars fans, they would easily recognize it. It's what's known as the Palpatine ascendancy. Basically, you have all the evil in place. You've given the evil the ultimate power, and now they are openly going to use it. And nobody is willing to stand against them, and you can try to stand against them, but they are going to game the system as much as they can. And now, because they have so much power, if you say anything against them, you're a bigot, you're a fist, you're a phobe, you're this, you're that, and you're the other thing. So, unfortunately, we've allowed this stuff to happen. And the only way to get rid of it is through drastic action. I'm not going to say what action. That's inappropriate to say. Use your imagination.
Yep. Rick, what's kind of your take on your favorite person in the entire world? At least the favorite person whose name you love to say.
Oh, well, that would be Madame Pinault's husband, Salma Hayek, whom you must refer to as Madame Pinault.
Someone else who's definitely compromised as well, but we'll just give that another day. I know she shoves those big boobs in your face. You forget all about, the evil that her husband is doing behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, well, they've been showing Frida a lot on the TV. So all I can think of is, I mean, I like the movie. Point being, I don't know what the reason is that he would want to have an interest in buying CAA and for $7 billion. When you invest, it's supposed to be a money-making opportunity. I don't know what money-making opportunity is for him apart from major agents getting a larger cut, but that's just going to bring up the cost of production.
Well, you look at it from another perspective. It's like these people don't care about money. This is a $7 billion deal here. We're not talking about kind of like a mom and pop acquisition, even like a small corporation acquisition. This is someone trying to essentially consume control over multiple aspects of high brand industries. And like I said, now he already owns and runs like one of the biggest like luxury clothing brands and multiple brands all over the world, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. And now with the power that he has in the fashion industry, he just acquired the largest Hollywood agency in the world, which means that when you're talking about CAA, you're talking about an agency that has direct ties with the Walt Disney Corporation and a lot of other major studios in Hollywood too. I mean, all of their stars are CAA stars. Talking about guys like Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, a lot of the other like Marvel people, all represented by CAA. So this is all going to start coming from the top down now.
There might not just be actors. They're probably directors. They're probably screenwriters who are also being represented by people at CAA. From my point, I just find I just find no reason for Monsieur Pinault to even be all that interested. I don't understand why he would want to be involved in all of this, unless it's to try to have a larger dominance in entertainment. Not that the films and television shows that we all have seen have been particularly good. I think all of us here have seen very poor quality. It's not going to improve the product. I just don't understand why he would want to, unless it's, I guess, to maybe get bigger roles for Madame Pinault, cast her as I don't know, Indira Gandhi or something like that. She could play Golda Meir, or for me, it's a waste of his money. I don't know if it's a part of some sort of master plan, but it's for me, a dumb master plan. I don't have massively vested interests in who the agents are, but yeah, I can't add much to this. It just seems like a lot of money for something that I think would be very unimportant, but he has to have a reason. As for what that reason is, well, we'll find out. Won't we?
Power, influence.
Yeah, those are good reasons to try to buy this agency, and then but yeah, I have really very little to add to that.
Well, real quick, I want to go back to earlier in the show here for a second, because I want to have the receipt here that I actually did say this before we went live here. But I just want to play this little clip here about people who showed up just before we were getting ready to wrap things up. And here tonight we'll have some people trickle in as time goes on. I'm pretty sure Rick will be here later on tonight. TW will probably be here 30 minutes before we end time. That's around time he shows up. So until those guys get here, and guess who decided to show here about 30 minutes before we were wrapping things up? Good old TJ.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, we appreciate you being here nonetheless.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Chill, bro. How you been?
Doing good.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you were listening to our show here, but we're kind of in the occult section of our show today. So just to catch you up here, some satanic witch who has a lot of ties to Hollywood and our world government is now going to be running schools in Ukraine, which is obviously a big red flag. And then we have Balenciaga, another high fashion brand involved in some very, very evil stuff, is now purchasing the biggest Hollywood agency in the business right now for $7 billion. So we're starting to see all the strings of evil being presented to us in real time. So any quick thoughts you had on this one since you just jumped in completely unprepared?
Yeah, man, it's a damn shame, dude, how all this shit is happening. Hey, what's up, Neo? But yeah, this is another reason why there needs to be a separate thing from the whole Hollywood thing, because Hollywood's becoming some weird occult type of shit, man. And it has been for a while. That's why it needs to be something that breaks away from all that and solely just focuses on entertainment and bringing good entertainment to the masses again.
Yep, definitely. It's kind of, it obviously is extremely concerning to see these sorts of things being pushed. We've seen a lot of people, in Hollywood, in music, in fashion, not hide the reality that they like to do things with children that are unfucking speakable. It's almost like it's almost like they're bold about it now. And when I look at shit like this, it's just like, how can you not be angered? How could you not want to do something? It's so weird how over the course of our lifetime, things that multiple things that we've always seen that it's like, this is the obvious stance to have, is now all in question. It's just it makes me sad. It really does. And to see this happen, it's not surprising. This is why, I'm interested in Hollywood less and less. For me, fashion is getting my hands on the things that will always remain in style. I'm not really interested in fashion in any depthful way. I will go with the leather jackets. I will go with things that will always stay in style. So I don't
Hey,
have
look,
to
I'll just stick with Walmart brands. I mean, at least I know that they're evil, but I mean, they're the evil that's cheap. So I just do that.
And another thing to speak on too, it's like, you see all these people that have insane amounts of money. Your Jeff Bezos, your Bill Gates. They're not interested in making profit anymore. Profit means nothing to them when they're so insanely rich. What more can they go for after that besides power, influence, and multi-generational power? Like these people, I don't know. I think some of them intend to live forever, but if not, they will live forever through being so fucking powerful that they could pass on this wealth and power to their children, to their children's great grandchildren. This is the type of wealth that we're seeing become a insane fucking problem. And this is what happens when you have these monopolies, insane monopolies. And I'm not surprised by it at all. No one wants to do anything about it. So I just become indifferent to these sorts of things, because it's like, what can I do? The things that are put in the checks and balances do not check and balance, because we live in a fucking world of fascism. So welcome, guys. I don't know what to tell you, but we live in a fascist world. We live in a globalist society.
Hey,
this is
demonic fascism. It's not like regular fascism. It's like national. It's like was it democratic socialism? It's satanic fascism. It's completely different things.
It's never been tried before. Not really.
Yeah, I mean, has it really been tried on a grand scale? No. Any last thoughts on this one, Johnson? Before we jump in our final guest of the night.
Stop buying stuff from these people. So,
just simple to the point.
I mean, like, that's really, at the end of the day, that's really all you can do. Go home and love your family, and just stop buying stuff from people that hate you. Now, the list is getting a lot longer, and some people are volunteering the information earlier. So
at this point, the list of people who don't hate you is probably much smaller than the people who do hate you at this point. So
for what it's worth, anybody listening, I don't have time to hate you, so buy my books. Yeah.
Plug. Well, speaking of demonic witches, we have our final guest here of the night, who's joining us here to talk about our closer here. Our good buddy Nerdigans is joining us. How you doing today, Nerdigans?
I'm tired. I had Yom Kippur yesterday, so I was fasting and somehow writing content and recording content, and I'm still writing content and recording content, and I'm really tired. I look like a hot mess.
But hey, you made it to the Day of Atonement, though, right?
Yeah, it was. I had, while I was writing stuff, I had like the services streaming in the background, so I still did my Yom Kippur stuff, but I don't know how I was writing anything. I don't know how I was doing it, but I did it.
Well, we brought you on today because we have one more topic to talk about, and that is the topic of football. Now, I think your Packers are doing pretty decent so far, right?
I'm actually kind of surprised that this is happening, considering we have Jordan Love helming.
Mm-hmm. I mean, no, you guys almost ended up beating who was the team this week? Was it last week or this week? I'm blurring in. No, you also the Falcons last week, and then you guys won this week, correct?
Yeah, we're playing the Lions this week.
Oh yeah, that's an L. You might as well just accept that right now. But let's go on to our closer here, and this is one that, or like I said, we hit some pretty heavy topics here, so we're going to jump into a lighter topic, or at least lighter, maybe if you're not a football fan. Football is going on right now. We've 3 weeks in. What's the too long didn't read version of all of our teams? The Raiders still suck, and they always will suck, and they got a sucky quarterback, and they suck crap. The Jets are just an absolute joke of a franchise that should fold and never return ever again. Also.
Well, you got Kaepernick begging to be on the practice squad now.
Exactly. I posted my meme of his letter. Be like, wow, this is worthless, because it pretty much is. The Dolphins hung 70 on the Broncos this weekend, and I mean, yeah, the Broncos. I mean, Seattle just absolutely fleeced Denver. There's no way you're even looking at it at this point. Like, that has to be like the worst trade in like the history of trades. Like, the Denver Broncos franchise has now been set back like 5 years because of that Russell Wilson trade. Like, he's an absolute bum who brought nothing to the table there. But
this is Madden scoring. It's fucking insane.
70. And here's the thing that pisses me off too. It's like, so the whole argument that they had a chance to set the record for the most points in an NFL game, just kick a field goal and go home. But no, we're not going to kick that field goal because it's about respect. It's like, you've already scored 70 points. What's 3 more points on top of that?
What happened to the Bill Belichick logic of we like points? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, like Bill Belichick will run up the score on you. He doesn't care. Like, I remember a game like 15 years ago when they were playing like Washington, and he ran up the score to almost 60, and people got mad at him. And it's like, you guys are grown men. If you don't want him to score, stop him from scoring. That's why they call it football.
Yeah.
Like, he's not obligated to take a knee out of courtesy for you guys.
Yep.
But none of that stuff matters, because the big story of this week's football show was Taylor Swift. Now, Taylor Swift is dating the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. What's his name? Travis Kelce. And so they started dating. Like, there's been rumors about this for like a while, and people have been like, they've turned the NFL into a complete Hollywood shit show. That's really what this whole thing comes down to. Is, I mean, Travis was doing a lot of very questionable ads over the last couple of weeks. He did an ad for Bud Light, and we all know it's been going on with Bud Light this year. Then he turned around like last week and filmed a ad for Pfizer, encouraging people to get the COVID shot, right? So people were like, okay, this guy is completely sold out, and only to confirm his sellout status, now all of a sudden, oh guys, hey, him and Taylor Swift are dating. Aren't they a new power couple? Pay attention to Taylor Swift. So the Chiefs were playing the Bears at home this week, and of course the Bears suck, because I mean, they've always sucked. They sucked for quite some time, but they got absolutely smashed. I think it was like 43 to like 10 or something like that. But the story that overshadowed the entire game was the fact that every time someone scored a touchdown, oh, what is Taylor Swift doing right now? Let's move over to Taylor Swift. What's her reaction? It's like everything was about Taylor Swift. The people on the field was like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is in the box seat. This is amazing. And I'm just sitting over here like watching the reaction on social media. It's like, I can barely muster any kind of emotion out of me at this point in time in my life to care about the NFL, and this somehow will make me care even less than I already did. So here's a number of videos here that went viral this weekend. This is Taylor Swift cheering on her new boy toy. I mean, so what she's up to now, like 27. I mean, I know we're in like this age of like high body counts, right? When it comes to women, there's no way that Taylor Swift is not in triple digits at this point, right? Like, is anyone really thinking about this woman as a wife of all the people that she's banged over her lifetime? I mean, let's be very, very honest here. But here's one short little clip here.
She is there, whatever that means. She will see what we hope is a fantastic contest. Most of you will get that. Others will.
Yay! Taylor Swift is there at the game. And she's
Grammy
clapping.
winner? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, the Grammys don't mean anything. It's just absolute
There's no accounting
joke.
for taste.
And then here's another video of her cheering on her man as he scored a touchdown. Keep in mind that score is in fact 41-0 there. So yeah, they got absolutely smashed.
That's bad.
Yeah, so good luck, Spencer. Get wrecked, Spencer, as I should say. But yeah, so it's like this was like literally the whole scene of the game. It's like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is there. She's doing things, and we need to pay attention. And then even after the game, there was videos about them backstage hanging out. So all this whole thing, like I said earlier about pro wrestling, this is all pro wrestling at this point. All of this is a work. Yep. I don't buy this relationship as real or genuine whatsoever. Maybe if Travis Kelce didn't do a Pfizer Pfizer commercial right before this, maybe I will buy that they two are actually dating each other. But this is all Hollywood. This is all show. Pro wrestling has now invaded the NFL. The NFL is fixed. I ranted about this last year with Rob when he was on the show. Remember the whole game with like the Buccaneers and the Cowboys last year in the playoffs, where the kicker of I think it was Dallas missed 4 extra points in a row in the game. Now the over under for that game just so happens to be 45.5, and because he missed 4 extra points in a row, the actual final over under for the game was 45. Like, that was the most blatant, obvious fixed point shaving game that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm now at the point now where I think, you know what, I think the NFL is fixed too. I think everything is fixed. I think that they've been pre-selected.
Oh my gosh.
Arian Foster came out, last year and said that the NFL was fixed, and people made a meme out of it like he was joking. It's like, no, I actually believe the NFL is fixed now. I think this is all fake. I think this is all just a bunch of nonsense. But like I said, Taylor Swift has now.
It was off the top of my head, but so I grew up in Pennsylvania, and my mother told me you'll never see, and my mother hates football.
Yep.
You will never see the Eagles versus the Steelers, because nobody would care outside of Pennsylvania. And I think that was the year that the Eagles actually won against the Steelers. And I'm from Western PA, so that's like not acceptable. So.
Duke says she's been passed around more times than the shovel. Oof.
Well, she probably got the NFL player by casting a spell on him anyway.
That's true. I mean, there's that. But then again, I mean, like I said, he's already a bit of a sellout, so it probably wasn't that hard of a sell. And like I said, now you have people trying to use the town bicycle and her popularity to go as far as to get the tomahawk chop removed from the Kansas City Chiefs stadium here. So now that people see that, oh, she's dating a football player on the team, maybe we can use her power to get Kansas City to change their name and get rid of the tomahawk chop now, because that's how powerful and great Taylor Swift is. So here's another.
No, it's not happening. Look at what's happening with the Redskins. They're getting sued now.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
So that their name can go back to Redskins, I believe.
I cried laughing. That shit was so funny.
And that's because the tribes were like, yeah, we never said that we wanted the name gone. We actually were all for the name being there. And you guys,
they don't like the actual mascot being gone either, because that was a person.
Yeah, it was actually also their design.
So anyway,
Wait,
a bunch of liberals
thing. I thought that was just on South Park.
No.
South Park predicts it, and then it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Native American groups are working with the sports teams of their Indian industry. This is obviously a liberal group that we're talking about here, and they're now urging Taylor Swift, because she's banging one of the dudes on the team, allegedly, to force Kansas City to stop doing the tomahawk chop. This is something that they've been doing for a while. They tried this in Atlanta a couple of years ago. They technically stopped playing like the Indian howl, but people are still doing the tomahawk chop here in Atlanta because they are the Braves. If they ever try to change their name, that would absolutely kill the franchise here in the South, and they're not going to do that. But like I said, we're talking about.
They're not going to allow that shit either. They're in freaking Missouri. Missouri is not a liberal state. It's just not happening.
Like, if you do that, you might as well just go back to Dallas and call yourself the Texans at this point. Because I mean, you'll be dead in Kansas City if you try to get rid of the Chiefs lineage there. But he said, we remain hopeful that an outside influence like Miss Swift can be an ally for us and moving the conversation forward about how the chop is a racist act, racism. And to us, the hand gesture is sacralized racism, and we implore Miss Swift to take the time to understand our perspective and scientific and psychological research to the harm to the youth and the communities caused by such behaviors like the tomahawk chop that you guys see at football games and baseball games across the country. Look, we all know that Taylor Swift is a sellout liberal weirdo who's probably a witch herself. We all know that Travis Kelce is a sellout weirdo, and he's a poster boy and a butt boy for Pfizer. And now they've joined forces to ruin an already unsalvageable NFL season. So, Nerdigans, I dug you up from the grave so we can talk about this story. So I'll start this one off with you. What are your thoughts on Taylor Swift and the takeover of the NFL?
I don't give a shit about Taylor Swift. I like some of her music when I was younger, but I really don't care about her. I don't care. I don't understand the obsession. But like in regards to wokeism infecting football, I mean, obviously we have the whole thing with the Redskins, and I don't know why it's taking them this long to freaking fight back. Where the fuck were they when Dan Snyder was telling them to fuck off? I don't like Dan Snyder, mind you. He is a piece of shit, but still, like Dan Snyder was trying to hold these fuckers off for as long as he could, and still nothing from them. Where were they? Were they just waiting so that they could get their money? Like that's kind of fucked up, if you ask me.
Maybe they were on the toilet.
But in regards to the Chiefs, so as I said, they're not getting rid of it. You're not going to get anything out of the Chiefs. You're not going. In Florida State, they tried with the Seminoles. Nah, the Seminoles came out and they're like, "Nah, you ain't changing anything. We're staying the Seminoles. We like the Seminoles. Nah, you ain't changing shit." So it's just more of these more fan bases and more Native Americans really need to come out against all this shit. I'm waiting for these mofos to come out against Elizabeth Warren already because I've talked to some Native Americans on Twitter about this too. They're pissed off that she hasn't been outed from the Senate because there was a professor in I think it was UC Berkeley or something like that got outed for faking their Native American heritage and they resigned. Where is this with Elizabeth Warren? She did it for how long? Like decades, and she hasn't gotten resigned. Like, please. You'll probably see a lot of that going on with the woke assholes that are trying to get everything changed.
They should just sit there and do a tomahawk chop of her too. So
seriously,
actually, a tribe. I think the tribe did reach out to her and they denounced her.
Yep, they did.
So.
They completely are back when she was dumb enough to do the DNA test, and then it came back negative, and it's like, you owe us decades of apologies.
And money.
Whenever she sees a Native American, she should be obligated to apologize.
Yeah, like a 0.00001% Native American. Look,
Mexican or Central American Native American too, by the way. That 0.1%.
Oh, so she's a member of La Raza. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Come over
here.
No,
really, the same Native American group that got. Dude, this gotta be a scam now. They're just trying to get money out of them at this rate.
Well, they also should do that with the Land O'Lakes thing because it was a Native American who actually designed the Land O'Lakes logo with the Native American girl.
Where's her family at? She should be suing.
It's really a lot of historical ignorance. Like all those statues to Columbus that people are so upset about, those were put up to try to integrate Italian Americans into the dominant American culture. They weren't just put up there as symbols of oppression. As for Taylor Swift, really, if you're pinning your hopes on changing the tomahawk chop and getting rid of the Chiefs or the Braves on this pop princess whose songs are so similar, I really could not tell you one difference from one song from the other. They all sound exactly the same. Sometimes when I hear them, I assume it's different people because I'm going, they can't be the same person, and it ends up being her. You're really desperate if you need to have her, if you think you're going to have her convert all of these teams into changing their names. Now, T Swift, yeah, she's I think it's pretty clear that she's been around. All of these guys, I mean, you probably could tell the guys that she dates or has dated based on the songs. It's like she had like one for John Mayer, she had one for Harry Styles, she had one for Jake Gyllenhaal. She's gonna have one for this guy. And just seeing the way that he was at the game, he's a terrible dresser. I mean, that's a really hideous outfit that he was wearing. I don't know how anyone would appear in public.
That's your takeaway from this whole story.
That's
with the
one
outfit
of them.
That he was wearing?
That's one of the takeaways. That's one of the takeaways. Why is anyone? I have a feeling now. I don't watch a lot of football, as you know. I still, for a while, believe that Peyton Manning was Walter Payton's son, so that should tell you how much I know about football. But I'm just perplexed as to why anyone, the broadcasting, thought that people were going to, all the football fans are going to say, "Oh wow, Taylor Swift is there. Obviously, she's like a super fan." I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure she even knows. How
They were marking out like it was like Hulk Hogan in like 1984. It's like, oh my God, Hulkamania is here. It's like they were like literally they were geeking out there like the entire time. It's like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is watching our football games. Like, first of all, it's the Chiefs and Bears. No one cares. They lost by like 31 points. I was like this was like an entertaining game from any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I think Fox itself like moved away from the game in like the third quarter because it was so lopsided. Nobody wanted to see it, and the fact that they have to keep going to Taylor Swift after every single play made less people wanted to go see that game. So yeah,
exactly. Why are you focusing on? Granted, she is her generation's Ella Fitzgerald, but why do you need to focus on her rather than the game? The people that are going to be watching this football game, and again, it is curious why people are so invested in the Bears and the Chiefs. Why they would want to focus so much on Tay or T Swift or whatever you want to call her. Maybe you know what they should have done? They should have probably shown that clip from Amsterdam where she gets run over. I'm sure maybe that would have piqued the people's interest. I generally do not understand why she's so popular. I don't understand why people would pay thousands of dollars to see her.
See, this is one of those rare times where I wish the Raiders were actually still in Oakland, because she pulled up to the Oakland box cheering for the Chiefs the way that she was. That town would have absolutely ripped to shreds.
Dude, she would get her ass whooped in San Diego too, or
Yes.
LA Chargers would probably whoop her ass too. Because
Yeah, you get those drunk Mexicans in San Diego, some of their T-Sway. Yeah, there'll be some very unflattering things being said there.
Well, you saw there's been going down in the there's been more brawls happening. Well, I should be saying friendly fire brawls happening amongst the Niner fans and the Cowboy fans. And I think even a Dolphins fan killed a Patriots fan. That's different.
Yeah, it was a Patriots fan killed an elderly. It was a Dolphins fan killed an Patriots fan. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been getting crazier with that. And then obviously with the Bears, I mean, $100,000 worth of equipment was stolen while they were gone. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse for them.
Do we know where Taylor Swift was when this robbery took place? I mean, she could have, to use that for her stage show.
Yeah, because she has connections,
Yeah.
The Cardi B.
I honestly, first off, as someone who doesn't even know who the football player is, and barely knows who Taylor Swift is, why do people care? Honestly, why do you care? You're supposed to care about the football game. You're supposed to care about all of these players and what their strategies are, and moving on to the divisions and all of that. I mean, why Taylor Swift? Of all the people to care about, why Taylor Swift and the latest man that she's stripping? Why any man would willingly go? I mean, what power does this woman have, apart from perhaps literal witchcraft, that would make any man want to go, date her? And I say date, and I'm assuming that they're not sleeping together, or they have,
or even if this relationship is even real in the first place, if it's not just one pro wrestling work of, hey, just pretend like you guys are in a relationship for a few months and we'll make a bunch of money off of you, because Hollywood has been doing that for decades. It's like, it's not new.
Scientology ploy, I tell you.
Why?
Okay, I can tell you why. Okay.
Okay.
Taylor Swift is like the American Princess Avatar of millennials. I mean, she's so pretty. She's got so many shiny things. She is. Okay, she's blonde. She's blue haired. She's
blue haired
makeup. Okay, or I'm sorry, blue eyed. Yes, that's late. She wears nice clothes. Well, that's fine,
pretty.
but I mean, like, if you,
because I wouldn't touch her.
I mean, beauty is obviously objective, but the way that people see her, they do see her as a beautiful,
she's not ugly,
icon.
Okay? She's
like the equivalent of Beyonce to these boomers.
Okay, I'm surprised, frankly, that she wasn't in the Barbie movie. Okay, but I mean, like,
Who says she wasn't?
she has like she has a good voice, and her songs are catchy. They're not necessarily good as in like artistic or creative or dynamic
I could not tell the difference between any. I barely found out that anti-hero, which annoys me, was her. I wouldn't know. I really would not be able to tell the difference between any Taylor Swift song, and I didn't even care for her when she was pretending to be country.
Well, I mean, but like somebody actually like analyzed all of her songs, and like she uses the same 4 chords throughout the thing or something, like the majority of the time, whatever. So it's like, if people like things that they are familiar with, which is part of the reason why so many of her songs sound familiar. Okay,
Well, they sound the
people like
same.
familiarity,
Well,
and it's like a morphing
musically,
thing.
when it comes to music, especially the past 20 plus years, it doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
If you showcase your talent, doesn't mean you're going to win all the Grammys.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know who this rapper Sexy Red is, who's been artificially thrown out there over the last few months. But if you think that music in any way, shape, or form has anything to do with talent, I don't know what planet you're living on. You're not in reality anymore.
Yeah.
Didn't they start doing auto tuning in like the mid 2000s?
Probably even earlier than that, for me.
Auto tuning started in '97. Trust me, it has ruined my ear entirely. Okay, it's sad. It's sad that people are so used to auto tuning now that ABBA made a comeback album after having broken up their group in the early '80s, and they used auto tune because they know the modern audience is so used to it that their music would sound old by default if they did not use it. That is how fucked music is. It's so sad.
Well, I mean, like the Taylor Swift thing though is like she's been around for like 15, 16 years. That's almost a generation. Okay, and she's morphed throughout that time. Like she has her own like Taylor Swift cinematic universe coming with her Taylor TV thing that the domain name got bought up for.
And the movie. The concert film coming up.
Yeah. So I'm just saying she has a lot of power. She has a lot of prestige to her name, even if it's not warranted.
Also voice the reality that she has a lot of power because she does cave. She has caved to the leftist establishment when she used to be apolitical. Yeah, she sold out for this immense amount of power and fame, but it's not true power because at the end of the day, she's not necessarily.
Like with the average person or the below average person, would they be able to tell?
No, of course.
I know like all of us are probably above average for intelligence here. Okay, so like, but I mean, like when you don't have a solid identity in your family, in your community, in yourself, in your job, whatever. Okay, you go looking for things, and everybody wants peace, power, and affluence, and. Like it or not, she's probably one of the better examples of people that were like, hey, if Taylor Swift liked my stuff, lots of people might buy it,
Yes, but again, I go back to the first why the broadcasters in the NFL decided that people would focus more on Taylor Swift being at this game than on the actual game itself. I don't understand.
She's just more interesting.
You're grifting off of her fame. That's all it is. The NFL are fucking sellouts, bro. They have Ukraine flags in the back of fucking players' helmets. They fucking bask in BLM. They don't give a fuck anymore.
I did watch most of the Packer game. And I did see at the end zone and racism. So I was like, oh, well, okay. Thank you for, taking a courageous stand to end racism. We will never end racism without, you guys telling us to. And another point.
The NFL has a lot of competition with college football too.
College football is probably better. And I see this as someone who does not even watch college football and wouldn't know, like Notre Dame.
College football has a lot
I
more
live in
passion
Georgia
in it.
Bulldog country, so I can say nobody cares about the Falcons. Everybody loves the Bulldogs here, or Georgia Tech.
All right. So any person, any guy who is willing to go and date Taylor Swift at this point. You are just interested in publicity for yourself, because this woman is incapable of having a long-term relationship. She's not had one, and she's never tried, as far as I know, to go out with a quote average guy. She's not going to do a marry me type situation where she's going to pick some random guy and say, yeah, I'll go out with you. She goes out with famous people, and she drops them, or they drop her, and then she writes songs about them. It's almost like she's sort of an artistic succubus who goes after these men who will have a good time with her, and I'm sure, perhaps, I'm assuming, frolic with her, cavort, enjoy the pleasures of the flesh, and then she will leave them, or they will leave her because she's a commitment phobe, and then she'll write a song about them and make a big hit, and then it'll be like Carly Simon and You're So Vain, where you try to guess who she wrote that song about. Warren Beatty, I think. And so you're gonna guess who did she dedicate was that the Harry Styles song to. We know that she wrote, didn't she write We'll Never Get Back Together for Jake Gyllenhaal? I mean, it's a guessing game. It always become a point of parody.
I know, but I mean, like, that adds to the lore. It's almost like Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, let's roll a dice and see which boyfriend this song will be about.
It's bragging rights. It's bragging rights. And so unless this Kelsey person, and again, I don't know who this person is, and I think he has a brother, unless who this person is wants to just kind of either ride on her fame, metaphorically, if not literally, or just wants some publicity for himself, or wants to be immortalized in song, why is he going out with her? Why is she?
I love how you ask these very obvious questions like you don't somehow know the answer. Exactly what's going on here. It's like I said, he sold out to Bud Light. He sold out to Pfizer. He is a puppet, and that's why this whole thing is happening. It's not that hard to figure out. Now,
let me put it to you. Let me break it down to you at one term. You may not be aware of this since you're a boomer, but clout. Clout.
I'm not a boomer. A boomer would...
You might as well be a boomer.
Literally, dog.
She's getting some street cred, I guess, with him too, because he's black and because he's a football player.
He's not black.
He's not black.
He's not black?
No.
Okay, I've been looking at the wrong person.
You know what's funny? It's like literally before you said that embarrass yourself, I was going to bring up another aspect to this story because Travis Kelce is white, and as you know that his last few girlfriends have been black, and now there's a subculture of this whole thing of people, especially black women, who are now upset at Travis Kelce because he dumped his black girlfriend now for a white girl of arguably the whitest of all white girls in Taylor Swift. So
that's probably where I got mixed up.
Well, here's the thing.
He earned enough street cred to be considered black with all black women.
Are these the same black women that are upset at Patrick Mahomes for having a very, very light-skinned wife? And
as if Patrick Mahomes wasn't biracial to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, so wait, he dumped a black woman for Taylor Swift. I guess it's no longer true
you know what's
that
funny?
Once you go black, you never go back.
And you know what's funny? People on Twitter, and I've seen this on Black Twitter, they had the audacity to say that he downgraded with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's worth like $700 million. You're going to call that a downgrade? Are you serious?
Oh,
my cat disagrees too. He says that's bullshit. Did you hear him meow? Like,
Well,
he disagrees.
Well, she's not a roundaway girl. By that.
Well, maybe her next.
No, she's a shake girl.
Jacob, get in the game.
Do not disrespect a classic from KC and the Sunshine Band, okay?
You need to calm down, all of you. You just need to calm down.
Women don't get calmed down when you tell them to calm down.
Dude,
Give us chocolate first.
You need to call the manager.
Rule like 14 of the what to never say to a woman.
Calm down.
Tell them to calm down because they are always
They'll just get more
close
pissed.
to something sharp.
Yeah.
And they'll stab you in your nuts if you tell them to calm down.
Do you know why
Yeah,
you
if you
shouldn't tell
tell-
a woman to calm down?
Why?
It's because you treat children that way. And when you treat your wife or your girlfriend like a child, she goes insane.
Yeah.
And even if your wife or girlfriend have the maturity of a child, you don't come out and say it.
All right. Well, who here thinks?
I just think of when a dude tells a woman to calm down, I just think of the scene and set it off where Vivica Fox is like, "Let's just blow it the fuck up," like that.
All right. Well, who here thinks that this relationship will last all through the whole season?
Set up a dating.
Oh no,
pool,
maybe
but-
she needs, or maybe he needs to tell her to relax a little more often.
I mean, if the NFL is truly fixed, like I believe it is, I mean, Kansas City is the hot team of the league right now, so I can see Kansas City going with this Taylor Swift wave for the rest of the year. They win another Super Bowl, and then of course we get the photo op of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift hugging each other with the Lombardi Trophy, which is to be the ultimate tombstone power driver of the entire NFL franchise as a whole. I think that I would say at this point.
Maybe
so.
she's trying to get in with the NFL to do the halftime show for the.
Didn't she already do one? Or has she not officially done a halftime show for that? I think she did.
done one.
No, that was Katy
No,
Perry.
that was
Katy Perry did.
Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see even more reason then because she and Katy Perry are always at odds
Well,
or something.
I definitely wouldn't allow her to do one on the for the Super Bowl because you never know. She might actually frickin' do a spell casting thing on the NFL.
I mean, might as well. They had Rihanna do one last year. Or
I was
this year.
gonna say you don't have to worry about that because her tickets sold out for the theaters.
I mean, I will say this though. I do like that when Beyonce did that Annie Cop song during her halftime show, that her frickin' security detail ditched her ass.
You know, at this point, I think Taylor Swift really ought to perform at like the Pro Bowl because at this point, you know, all the guys that she's been around have been pretty much pros with her. Who cares? Honestly, the people who focus so much on Taylor Swift and her relationships.
Oh, Rick, but I just told you, like the people who care about this stuff have nothing else to care about.
That's sad. Read a book. You know, go read a book.
We're talking about the same people that believe a color palette determines a character's sexuality. That's what we're dealing with here.
Anyway.
Any final thoughts on Taylor Swift ruining football before we get out of here?
The NFL sucks and it should be disbanded.
Yeah, this isn't like the first first strike against the NFL. There's a reason. I mean,
It
look,
hasn't.
man, I'm a Jets fan. Okay, it didn't take much for me to say I don't want to watch football anymore. That once they started bringing politics into that bullshit, I'm like, well, that's the excuse I needed. I'm fucking out of here, real the fuck quick. So
Hey, it's a good thing that Aaron Rodgers went down 10 seconds into the game because you don't have to hear about him and his annoying girlfriend for the rest of the season either.
You know,
I
why
didn't hear about
haven't watched the
Colin Kaepernick
NFL
coming down the
since
Jets
like mid
instead.
2000s.
Taylor Swift should get together with Colin Kaepernick, and then they could go and see if she could get him to play for the Jets. Because apparently,
Colin Kaepernick isn't trying to hook up no white devil. Are you kidding? Not be paying attention.
well, isn't he half white? I mean, like, I don't know.
I think he has a girlfriend, and he would have to dump her, and she's black, and then dumping her for Taylor Swift.
He would be a sellout if he did that.
You know what we need? We need Taylor Swift to go out with a sports player from every league, so she could hit the NBA and then the MLB, and then even go.
So you want her to turn into a Kardashian? Is what you're saying?
I mean, that's the trajectory.
Pretty much at this point. We need to find. She ought to date Pete Alonso from the Mets.
You want her to have DNA from all 4 major sports here in the United States? Is what you're saying, right?
She should represent. She should represent.
Damn, Taylor Swift is in contention with Madonna for the loosest goose. That's all I gotta say.
And
she's only half Madonna's age. And look at the number she's already put up.
She should go for it. Like
it's like Steph Curry coming up on Reggie Miller's record.
Or what we could do, we could make her, instead of awarding the Lombardi Trophy, we could award her to the winning team for every Super Bowl. Like she will be like
you put those two in the same room together, it's gonna smell like a Vietnamese fish market or something like that. It's gonna be
Jesus.
Maybe you know we could promise them like whoever loses the Super Bowl will get Taylor Swift. They won't get the Vince Lombardi trophy, but they'll get Taylor Swift for like a whole season.
Well, I just broke half the cast here, so this is probably good enough to go ahead and sign off of this show. So, Nerdigans, you're the first one in, or the last one in, so you guys should be the first one out here. Go tell people what you're working on.
Well, first off, you can go to my channel, Nerdigans Inc. on YouTube, where we are covering anime and manga every day. We've been starting to do more live streams, doing recaps for Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, and we're going to be doing a long one on Saturday covering the season finale as well as last week's episode because it's Squad Zero fight, so that's going to be really fun. And then on the writing front, well, I'm doing a lot for Bounding, but there's other side projects I'm doing, but I'm not going to talk about them until they're all said and done. But yes, there is movement afoot on the job front, thank God. So I might actually be able to, well, hopefully I'll be able to pay my rent. But yeah, so hopefully once everything is settled, I'll be back here on the regular. But right now it's just really, really stressful.
Have you ever thought about being an Uber driver?
I don't have a car.
Yeah, man, we get you. Get you like a '97 like Dumpty for like $3,000 or something. I don't know.
I had a '97 Dumpty for like $1,500, and then it died on me. And it had like less than, I think I'm gonna say less than 1,000 miles, or yeah, it had like 1,000 miles or something on it. I don't remember.
That thing was messed up before you got it. It's
You
not
got that for $1,500. That's a
yeah. I got it from a government auction, and it was in great condition. It's just that it stopped working when I had it.
No, it wasn't in great condition. It was in great condition when they sold it to you, and then you started to drive it.
Mind you, I had it for 2 years before it died, and then my last car was my dad's car, and then the alternator got stolen and got fucked up. So I haven't had a car since.
Yeah, you're another one who needs to move somewhere else too. I mean, we already got Rob out of the West Coast. I mean, we need to get you out of the West Coast as well.
I can't. My family's here. Not
That
leaving.
doesn't matter. Who cares?
Well, they need to give a fuck about it too.
Well, I mean, maybe we could do like
My mom and my stepdad are like in the middle of nowhere. They ain't leaving.
Nevada's close enough.
I'm not leaving. You can tell me all you want that I should leave. I'm not leaving. The more people that tell me I should leave, it's gonna make me want to stay even more.
I will literally fly out to California and drag you out of your home kicking and screaming.
By
That's
your
the
hair.
sweetest marriage proposal I've ever heard.
All right, let's jump over to our good buddy TW. What you got coming up, man?
Yeah. Just put out a new GTA San Andreas video. Right now, I'm working on a hot take video, which is Seinfeld is better than Friends. In my
that's not even a hot
That
take,
ain't a hot take. That's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
this affected
I
life
feel like most people like Friends a lot, so I figured, hey, fuck it,
because they're young and stupid.
I've never seen it.
If you get through the nostalgia, you know.
I never watched Friends. I did watch
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
But if you want to come to my channel is TW Booty Hunter. We discuss all things entertainment. We do a lot of stuff, news, segment reviews, all that. We do a whole lot of stuff, and we're gonna have even more going on the channel. So, and I got a Smash or Pass video on famous celebrities coming Friday too. So, if you're into that or if you're excited for that, then tune in.
I wonder if Taylor Swift's going to be on that one.
Probably. I think my answer will probably be pretty obvious, but yeah. Hopefully, I can try to be on a lot more of these shows between having my channel and then school and all that shit going on. I'll try to be on a little bit more of these shows if I can.
It's like trying to play air hockey in a bowling alley. It's just,
I know,
leave
right?
it for that. Orange Hat, what do you got coming up?
Oh, I got Infinity Saga Sundays are done, so now it's going to be it's going to Wick Sundays in October, where I'm going to be discussing John Wick. Tuesday theme streams are going to be military versus aliens, and October, me and Mara are doing 1s and 2s with the Halloween movies, Halloween 1 and 2, and for singles, it's going to be Bram Stoker's Dracula and Silver Bullet. I'm covering Rachel Zegler news because, well, that does seem to be a topic that people find interest in, even though it drives me nuts. Other than that, I'm doing other reviews here and there. And yeah, you can also find me here on Tuesday nights. And yep, that's about it.
All right then, Rick, go ahead.
All right. Well, I've got my weekly haikus. I'm writing more reviews. I got spat on at work, so that's always interesting.
Yeah.
By a homeless person?
Yes, I believe the person was homeless and slightly disturbed, but that's the way it goes. And I am now like 90% that I will run for District 7. And
So you got to stop appearing on this show now for good?
Hey, well, Stranger Things. And I also am close to finally creating my own YouTube channel. So I might do that. I think I'm setting a goal for for next year, like the beginning of next year, to see if I do set up my own channel. And finally, I did get some positive news. The county has replied. I wrote a letter talking about how they're making a mess of their cemetery, and now I got a response saying that, hey, we're going to put in the wall and we're going to put in fencing. So the best way to change anything is to shame and humiliate your local officials. That'll get it done.
Too. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully, I'll get my channel started up in the beginning of the year. It's going to, I'm aiming for reviews and retrospectives and maybe an occasional poetry reading, which I'm sure you all enjoy. Thank you all.
I will love those.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yep. So if your government isn't doing their job, you call those putos on the phone. You tell them to do it. Damn.
Yo. Oh my god.
CJ.
Hey everyone, it's me again. Thanks for coming tonight. If you want to hear more of my stuff, just keep coming back on Tuesdays. Yep, I'm the yang to Jacob's gang, I guess, on here. So and,
yeah, let's go with
books.
that.
Yep, just buy my books.
And last but not least, Colt Casa Cage.
Hell yeah. Great show tonight, guys. Great chat as always. You can find me, Cult Classic Cage, on YouTube, Kick, and Twitter. Been streaming Cyberpunk 2077 on Kick, so that's been pretty fun since the game actually works now. So that's nice. Took like 2 to 3 years now. So we're running through that. I've been playing a hell of a lot of Starfield. That's what I'm going. I had to stop playing Starfield to be here. And that's, that means that I love you guys, okay? The fact that I stopped playing Starfield to be here, and I will go right back to Starfield afterwards. So, yeah, definitely check out my content posted today if you want to check out some new stuff. And yeah, guys, let's keep it gaming. Let's keep talking about all sorts of subjects, challenging each other. And I love jumping into different topics here. So it's always cool. And appreciate having discussion with everyone. And hell yeah, the shirt, baby. Diana Ross, let's go. That's the girl right there.
Wow. That's
Look,
a good
at this
shirt.
point, I'm convinced that the real motherfuckers are the ones that are the assholes, because like Diana Ross is just like, I don't give a fuck about anyone except myself and family, and she kind of just stays out of like the bullshit. So it's awesome. Yes.
Hey, I respect the diva.
Promote a
The
real
diva-
queen.
She's
Fuck
a diva
Taylor
and she knows
Swift. Fuck Madonna. Okay, Diana Ross never said anything about dropping something on the White House. No, she just, for the most part, stays the fuck out of shit, collects her money, and keeps it moving. That is a true supreme. Thank you.
Anyway, so what we got coming up this week? This Friday night, we're going to be doing the Friday Night Movie Club. We're reviewing The Creator this week. So that is our movie choice of the week. That'll be on Friday night. And then after this Friday, we're bringing back movie night. And we're blending it in with the Friday Night Movie Club. So the way the thing's going to work is that we'll start the show on all three platforms, being YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitch as well. And then we'll, after the first 30 minutes, we'll hop off of the YouTube platform. You guys join us on either Twitch or on Rumble, and then we'll go ahead and watch the movie. I do have a movie that we have selected for next Friday, but you won't know until that is until this Friday's show. So we'll talk about The Creator this Friday night. It should be a good show there. Check that out. Yesterday we did the Bible Lens podcast. We did part 1 of our story of Do Not Love the World, talking about money and envy. And then this week next Monday night, we're going to be doing part 2, and that's going to be a discussion on envy, hatred, division, and basically how that's so prevalent in our world right now, whether it's rich versus poor, black versus white, male versus female, gay versus straight. You see it all over the place. We'll talk about that in detail on Monday night. Then next Tuesday, I should say, 1 week from tonight, we'll be back here, episode 68 of the show. So give a quick shout out to everyone who joined us on all of our platforms tonight. Neozoic, Duke Nukem, Drax the Clown, Vanya, who else we give a shout out to? Spencer, Alex versus Evil, Tactus Jones, Rob, who's joining us from work somewhere, DK, Kate joining us here tonight, Mephisto's Movie Reviews joining us here for the show. Obviously, Condescending Josh was here with us tonight. Doba Fett, I think I already gave him a shout out just in case. Let's see, Henry Thon, thanks for joining us here tonight. Who else do I want to make sure I get everyone here before we roll things out? I think we got everyone, unless I'm missing someone. And Mighty Orbots, definitely want to give you a shout out as well. And yeah, I think that was it for FCO. Oh yeah, Don't Let It Burn. He joined in for a little bit of time there too. So yeah, for everyone who joined us, hopefully we will see you guys next week here on the program. But you know what it's time for? It's time for the outro. We're out of here. Adios, people. Wave to the crowd. We'll see you, if not Friday, if not Monday, next week here on the show. Adios, people. Goodbye.
Definitely.
Why did she leave? We even pressed the outro yet. She already left.
Are you surprised?
Usually she waits until I actually press the button and starts the intro before she just dips out and leaves. Fucking Jewish weirdo. It's like you can't just stay on for a couple of minutes and talk to your people. Damn Yenta. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys
for that.
Yes. She needs to repent. Nerdigans need to repent for a lot of things, but that specifically, that should be on the top of her list of things to repent for.
Just after Yom Kippur. So.
That'll be for next year.
Anyway, adios, people. We'll see you guys later.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out!